Welcome, everyone, to the Islanders and Never Say Die podcast. I'm your host, TJ, and with me here, as always, is our NHL analyst and expert, the grumpy old man. They say there's no shame in his game because he is always the same.
That's me.
Grumpy, how are you doing this fine Wednesday evening?
Fine, thank you. Yourself?
I'm doing all right. Do you have your microphone hooked up, brother?
Yeah, it's hooked up. What, you got a problem now?
Okay, no, nothing. You're good. You're good. Sounded a little okay. Fair enough. Sounds good.
Can you hear that?
Yeah. I can hear you all right, Grumpy. Gotta love that noise. But yes, for those of you who are not acquainted with this show, we welcome you. This is a twice a week Islanders-based podcast that happens every Wednesday and Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You may look down at the clock and say, well, hold on a second. We're running 30 minutes late. Now, for once, it was not my fault that we're running late today.
That's absolutely not true.
Hold on, Grump. This is not my fault. I got a call from you. You told me earlier today the podcast was off. Then it was back on. Then it was off. Then it was back on again. And then you said, let's jump on about 8:15, 8:30.
You sent the link at 8:18 today.
You told me to be ready.
No, that's not what I said. Because I called you. No. I called you earlier. I said, no. The plans we had fell through. And you said, oh, okay, great. This was at 7:30. You, once again, were drag assing as usual. Everyone knows it's you. We're late because of you, not because of me. I'm sitting here ready to go.
Take ownership and take onus this one time. We're late because of you. But if you're new to the show, welcome. Again, as I mentioned, a twice a week Islanders podcast, rain, sleet, or snow. Well, actually, I guess we do sometimes take vacation time, but pretty much all the time.
You do. You take vacation time, not me. You do.
That's true. But pretty much it's a twice a week podcast that occurs every Wednesday and Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're new to the channel, we invite you to stick around a while. We invite you to subscribe on YouTube. We invite you to like on Facebook, and we invite you to follow on Twitter. That is the best way to make sure you don't miss out on any of the content. We have been reaching out to a few guests. We are going to be reaching out to additional guests as well. We're going to start having guests on our show. I believe, Grumpy, it could be as early as this upcoming Wednesday, possibly even this Saturday, Grump. But I don't want to spring something on you too late. So we'll come out with the guest list. We'll make sure we've got the official post of it. But yes, the guests are we're going to be having some new thoughts, new ideas sprung onto us, and different points of views brought to the show. As always, trying to be as impartial as possible, trying to get to the truth of the Islanders offseason. We also have an additional podcast that happens every Wednesday or every Thursday and Sunday called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. That is a twice a week general sports podcast. We talk all things sports, whether it's NHL, NBA, NFL, MLB, college athletics, European soccer. We talk anything and everything sports. And again, the best way, I actually invite you to give, I want to invite you to have that show a listen, Grump, because I notice a lot of the fans of that show are also fans of this show and like this show. Again, it's a little bit more of a laid-back environment. It's not so structured with what we talk about. It's just all things sports. We also have a fan segment that people love called Fan Fights. We just watch people in the fan section brawl and beat the living crap out of each other. Sometimes it's enjoyable to watch. Other times, not so much. But again, that is a show that takes place every Thursday and Sunday called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. That can be found in the link in the description below, or it can be found as a featured page on our YouTube channel. When you scroll down, it says, check out our other podcast. You see TJ and the Grumpy Old Man.
Yeah.
Now that all of our shameless plugging is done. Oh, also, if you enjoy the content, leave a little thumbs up. Apparently, that helps the algorithm. I have no idea. I'm told by others it does. So we're asking you, if you enjoy it, to leave a little thumbs up. Today is a little different. I know the last few times we've been podcasting, Grump, it has been a little more dreary than usual, I'd say, or as dreary as it usually is. Let me correct myself.
So you feel, hold on. So you feel that things have improved?
No, things have not improved.
Okay.
But I do want to look at and bring focus to something I don't think we've talked much about this offseason. We have kind of given it quick blow-bys, but I want to talk a little more in depth on what we should expect progression-wise from some young players with a new voice in the room. I do want to mention that it's something that we brought up, right? That's the best case scenario for the Islanders. So I do want to go ahead and make sure we have a chance to cover that and to talk a little bit about what our expectations are for a guy like Oliver Wahlstrom, Anthony Beauvillier, guys of that ilk who had, are younger, had a poor season last year to their standards, and what they could do to step forward and what reasonably we can expect from them next year. Same thing with guys like Kiefer Bellows and even the next step forward for a guy like Noah Dobson. I do want to talk about those items. I think they're a little more positive in nature. Right, it's easy as we see the Islanders have done nothing so far this offseason to improve their forward group. It's easy to get very downtrodden and easy to get upset and angry, just as you and I are grumpy. So I do want to highlight and talk about some of the positive notes. And the rumors are circulating, Grumpy. I guess we could start off like this. The rumors are circulating, though. The longer Nazem Kadri is on the free agent market, the more that the Islanders have their fingers possibly in the pie.
Yeah, I just, there has to be something else other than that, because if it's not, he doesn't really fit with the players that we have right now. And again, he's going to be 32 years old when the season starts. Haven't we been down this road before? I mean, how many years is he going to be looking for? I said, 3 tops, maybe 4 if you had to. But, he's not going to sign for a deal like that. I'm baffled. I'm baffled. I just don't see that as being a good fit, to be honest with you.
Well, what people are opining is that perhaps, and this is kind of what I'm thinking, the longer he sits on the sidelines and the less movement I see from Colorado, because I think there are really 2 camps of thought. Either you think he's returning back to Colorado, they're going to move JT Comfort, and they're going to trade him off the roster. They're going to make enough space to bring back a guy like Kadri. Kadri had a fantastic year last year for the Colorado Avalanche, even when players are injured at time periods. It didn't matter. McKinnon was out at times. Landeskog was out at times. They were missing big pieces off of their lineup at times. And, he was a guy who was consistently in the lineup, consistently performing, albeit on a very, very good offensive-minded team. That's not the Islanders. But on a very good offensive-minded team, heavy forecheck, he had his best year in his career at 31 years old.
By far.
Was that?
His best year by far.
Oh, yes. It was the best year in his career by far is correct. And, he's a guy who either you think he might sign back with Colorado if they're able to free up the space. That would be the move of moving away a guy like JT Comfort and finding the space for him that way. Or he's going to sign with the Islanders, or perhaps already is signed with the Islanders. Remember, sometimes these hush-hush deals have happened before in the past where we've kept it. I don't think that is as likely as others, Grump, because if a guy like Nazem Kadri is already signed, right, I feel like that wouldn't be kept a secret until close to, training camp date, right?
I guess I look at it this way. If he'd already signed with the Islanders, Colorado probably would have said, we're out on Kadri.
I would assume so as well. So I think that he's still on the market in some capacity. The longer Colorado waits, the more I'm worried that we have our hands much deeper in the pie than most would like. Another reason I think that he probably hasn't signed already, and again, perhaps he is, but when you try to go ahead and break it down logically, I think the team likes to sell season tickets. And if your big signing this offseason is Nazem Kadri, not announcing it until training camp does not help sell season tickets.
Agreed.
So, it's all from a business sense. I think that they would have announced it already if that was a signing, the big move for them. I think that it pretty much is down to 2 teams, the Islanders as well as the Colorado Avalanche. We've talked about the scenario as to when it would make sense for a guy like Kadri. If you're giving him, if the term and the cap hit is okay and all right, I'm fine with it. If you're overpaying for a guy and giving him too much term, then I really have a problem. So when we're talking about him in theory, I don't think in theory it's a bad decision. You're right. He is a guy coming off a career season and a contract year that always bothers me, that always irks me, always has, always will. But if you don't have to overpay for him for an arm and a leg, I'm okay. Just like you mentioned, 4 years is the maximum I'm looking to give a guy like Kadri. And if we're looking pay, he's not. Oh, I don't think he'd accept a 4-year deal. I think he wants closer to 5 or a 6-year deal. And I mean, I think he's going to want 6, if not more, right? I could see him wanting 6 to 7 plus. But you know what I mean? Like, I'd be willing to go as much as ideally 4-year deal, the maximum $6 million a year. I would be fine with something like that. But Kadri would not be fine with something like that. That is the biggest point of emphasis.
Yeah, he's taken when he was with Toronto and Lamoriello signed him for the Maple Leafs. He took a little bit of a below market deal there. For me, I'm always leery of guys who, outscored their career high by 25 points in a walk year at 31 years old. To me, that's just a huge red flag. Now, I'm not saying that Nazem Kadri is a bad player. I think he's really good. He's a type of player that every team wants to have, right? Gets under your skin, plays on the edge. Look at how many suspensions he's had. But at some point in time, you can't be giving 32-year-olds long-term extensions. Certainly not this team, the way it's currently set up. I mean, all they have to do is look at their whole roster to realize how a mistake that is, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm not a believer in giving him too much term and too much cap hit or too much money, just as I mentioned earlier. But you're right, coming off a career season, this is the only year he's ever averaged a point a game. Do not expect him to be the Nazem Kadri of the Colorado Avalanche if he joins the New York Islanders. Don't expect that. You'd have the wrong expectations for him. And I think, like, when you're looking at would he sign on a cheap deal, I don't know, unless he's infatuated and has a love affair with Lou Lamoriello. I just couldn't see it. It's not like anything draws him specifically to the Islanders. It's not like, oh, yeah, I was drafted by the Islanders. I love Long Island. I love living on the island. It's not like that with a guy like this. Always, I feel like if we have to go get somebody from every time you sign somebody who's an unrestricted free agent, he's never played for your team, in all likelihood, you're going to have to overpay with the amount of money you give him and the amount of term. Just look at the prior contracts that Lou Lamoriello has given out to unrestricted free agencies. And again, I try not to look and zoom in on vet minimum deals. I mean, those are a dime a dozen. But if you look at the contracts he had extended to unrestricted free agents, and sometimes even players that are already owned on our team, some contracts have been good, some have been bad. You look at, I think the Pelican Pulak re-signings were very good signings for the team. I look at the re-signing of Cal Clutterbuck and the re-signing of Casey Cizikas, and it's almost vomit-inducing. And I look at the re-signing of a guy like Matt Martin, it's vomit-inducing. So I think you're kind of playing it. Do I think Kadri takes a below-market deal to come to the Islanders? No. So I would side with it's probably going to be worse than we would like. The contract is not going to be ideal. Fans are not going to say, fantastic, we've got Nazem Kadri on a sweetheart deal.
I'm also going to say JG Pageau. Look at how much the average third line center makes. It's like maybe 3 million tops. He's making 5. And Kyle Palmieri, who's another third line player, right? Let's be honest. He's a third liner and he's making $5 million a year too. I for the life of me, don't understand the let's trade for an older guy and give him a long-term extension. It's just so dumb and short-sighted.
This is different. This is different though. Let's talk about the Kadri situation though, because this would be different. This would be the unrestricted free agent signing.
But it's the same thing, right? Signing a guy who's going to be 32 years old when the season starts to a long-term extension. And you're not going to pay somebody like that $7 million a year to have him play second line minutes. He's going to play on your first line.
Well, Nazem Kadri is going to play on the first line, right? Based off of what at least projections look like. And now here's something that was given to me by somebody I trust. Here's the thing. If I did not trust the information, I wouldn't be saying it on air. I do believe this. Now, apparently, Anthony Beauvillier was told by the team he's not being shopped. Don't know how true that is. I have no idea. To me, I couldn't tell you. It sounded true. It's from the source too. A source I believe and a source I trust who's been right before in the past said that Anthony Beauvillier is not being shopped, meaning that if we were bringing a guy like Kadri in, I think Bailey is the odd one out. So in that scenario, right, it means that you're going to have to give up assets to get rid of Josh Bailey's 2 years left on his contract, and you might be overpaying for a guy like Nazem Kadri. Best case scenario, right? You don't have to give up too large of an asset to get rid of Bailey, and Kadri signs a sweetheart deal. Worst case scenario, Kadri signs more term than what we want, and more of a cap hit than what we want. And we have to give up a lot of assets to get rid of Josh Bailey. That is the worst case scenario for us.
I can't see us having to give up a lot of assets for Josh Bailey. Honestly, I just can't. But I just don't see where Kadri fits. If you put him on the first line, does that mean Matt Barzal's not a center anymore? I mean, I don't know. He's the creator on that first line. Like I said, I'm just kind of lost for what they're doing. There's so many moving pieces to make that work. So many guys have to move and play different spots. The whole team needs to be reconfigured just to bring in Kadri because he's in a position that we don't need. One of the only positions we don't need.
Center, for those who are not acquainted.
Right.
Kadri's a natural center. He's a guy who plays center, has played center his whole career pretty much. And again, is not a guy that you would kick out to the wing. He's a center, true and true.
Yeah, it's like, then what do you do with – so who's going to be taken off the center spot? All right. Is it going to be Nelson? Is it going to be Pajot? It's not going to be Casey Zikas. It doesn't matter. Or Matt Barzal. Somebody's going to have to move out of their most natural position because you don't bring a guy in a however many year deal and give him – you're going to have to pay him big time.
I think so too. I think you're going to have to pay him more than he's not taking a hometown discount to play for the Islanders. I don't think. Are you getting tired there, Grumpy?
No, I've had something in my eye all day today.
Is it like the spicy thing you had in the back of your throat 2 weeks ago?
No, that is not it.
It
wasn't spicy. It was salty.
Salty. I forgot what it was. I apologize. I'm sorry. I didn't want to interrupt, but you're talking about you don't want to bring a guy in like that to move him to a position he's not natural at. And
he's not going to be a number 2 center, right? You're not going to spend all that money on a number 2 center.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it's a move that doesn't make any sense to me. Is he a good player? Yeah, he's a good enough player. How many points could you realistically expect him to have for the Islanders next year, though? Figure he's going to have a natural regression, right? Because he's not playing with Colorado, first of all. And the fact that he's playing in the Islanders defense first system. What do you expect? 50 points? Maybe 55?
I don't 50 points may be an overestimation, Grump. Now, Phil did tag me in this, and Phil is Johnny on the spot with some of this type of stuff. Phil went ahead and tweeted at me, just take a look at where in the past Matt Barzal had played winger. And thank you there, Phil, for sending this to me. This was an Andrew Gross tweet back from April 16th, 2021, where they had Matt Barzal at left wing with Travis Zajac centering Jordan Eberle. So if this doesn't tell you, we're really going back in the Wayback Machine. So Barzal had played winger before, and Phil said it was like 6 or 7 games, but he has played winger before.
I mean, isn't that first line a nightmare? Isn't that first line a nightmare?
Well, okay, don't focus too much on what we're seeing right here, because you look at this lineup back in April, you've got Barzal centered by Zajac and on the wing Jordan Eberle, and your second line is Michael Del Cole with Brock Nelson and Kyle Palmer. Okay, so don't pay too much attention to the lines. I just more drawing the Matt Barzal playing wing. And thanks for that, Phil.
Yeah, for me, I don't want him on the wing. It takes away some of his creativity. He's better as a center. Like I said, I just hope that's not the case, honestly, because it's just too many round pegs going into square holes. That's never a recipe for success. Not in my book, anyway.
Well, yeah, and so I think we're in a spot to where we very well could see Matt Barzal play the wing. I think that Kadri is a legitimate option, and he's a legitimate want by Lou Lamoriello. That again, you've seen Kevin Kurtz talk about it. You've seen the rumblings around the NHL. I've heard from sources that are close to the team that apparently that is something they're interested in. Lou keeps everything close to the vest, right? It's always worth putting that caveat and disclaimer at the front of anything when you're talking about an Islanders rumor or Islanders hearsay. Lou keeps everything extremely close to the vest, so nobody really knows exactly what he wants to do. That being said, I think that Lou Lamoriello does want to reunite with Nazem Kadri.
Do you think that the number 2 free agent in the NHL this year is going to wait until a week before training camp to announce where he's signing? I mean, I just don't think he signed because I think that gets out.
I don't think he signed either, but I think Lou wants to sign him. I don't think it's a done deal yet, but I think Lou wants to sign him.
Again, why? He doesn't fit.
I think they're planning on moving Matt Barzal to the wing. They've done it before in the past. I don't see them moving Kadri to the wing after Brock Nelson's almost renaissance with his center play over the last 4 years under Barry Trotz. That's not a guy I want to move out of the center role, and I'm not bringing in a guy like Nazem Kadri to play a third line center and to kick Jean-Gabriel Pageau out wide. Right? If you're bringing him in, he's going to be the first line center, and Matt Barzal, I guess, is going to be the wing. I don't know. That's oof. Matt Barzal is not a wing, in my opinion.
No. I mean, I know he's played wing before, but he's a creator. He's a creator.
He's a guy who needs the puck in the middle as they're streaking down. He needs it. He needs it to where he's got more open ice. He can go left. He can go right instead of saying, hey, I'm working from the left to the right or the right to the left.
Yes. You don't want to limit his creativity. You just don't want, in my opinion anyway, you don't want to limit his creativity.
So it looks like that is the more and more time that continues to elapse, and the more I see that Colorado is not making any move to free up the cap space, the more I think that Nazem Kadri is more and more of a reality. Here's the thing. We talked about the ways where that deal would work well for us, that free agent signing would work well for us. I just simply do not think we will have him on a short-term deal and we'll have him at a reasonable cap hit. So that, that would make me feel as a fan and that looking for the long-term health of the team that we should stay put and not do anything. Holy crap, go figure. I'd be saying something like that. I usually don't, but if you're going to have to overpay him with too much cap hit and too much term, we should stay put. Don't commit to something that's foolish that's going to harm the team for the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years down the road.
I guess my question is, how much money in term do you think he's going to get at 32 years old?
I think at least 5 years, $6.5 million, at least.
I bet he doesn't sign for less than 6 years.
That's what I said. I think worst case scenario, and I think if I'm his agent, I'm asking for 6 years, $7 million per at least. That's as low as I'm willing to go. And that, from my standpoint, 6 years, $7 million per, that's a little much. You're going to be having him at age, because he'll be 32 at the start of the year. You'll have him at 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37 years old, all those years at $7 million per. I don't think Nazem Kadri, who just had the best year of his career, can replicate what he did last year. And then on top of it, you're going to have a 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37-year-old center making $7 million per. Your best player on your team, Matt Barzal, makes $7 million per. We've talked about this before. What does the future of Matt Barzal look like? They're not going to tender his offer next offseason because it would cost $10 million for them to do so. They're either going to make him a long-term deal or won't do so.
I guess the way I look at it is this. His style, even if you're unhappy with the term, his style of play is not conducive. He's awful lot like Anders Lee, but more physical, in my opinion.
He skates better than Anders Lee.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is his physicality. I mean, when you get worn out running guys and to be an aggressive checker like that, he's more of a physical type player. Those guys don't last until they're 36, 37 years old. They just don't.
Oh, so you're saying you're afraid that the style of play, which is a rough style that Kadri has played, a chippy style, he plays with that chip on his shoulder, he's aggressive, he's the aggressor out there in the ice. You think that's going to cause his body to wear down at a younger age than it would be a guy who's more of a finesse type player who avoids contact? Yes.
I mean, there's not a whole lot of contact in the NHL now, but Kadri's a guy who initiates contact, right?
Yes, he does.
I mean, so that's just his style. JG Pageau, same type player. We've seen how that's worked out. Those guys wear down. Once a guy like that wears down, he wears out. It's not like you can have a renaissance for a player like that as soon as his play drops.
I don't expect him to continue the pace, as I said before. I think best case scenario, if he signs on a real cheap deal with short term, I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm trying to prepare for the realism thought process. He's probably going to get too long of a contract and too much money tied to him, which will make me upset. And we are probably going to have to give up too many assets to get rid of the cap space in the cap hit in order to free up a spot for a guy like Kadri. That's the worst case scenario. We've gone through best case scenario and worst case scenario of that option. And as information continues to slowly trickle out on his future, we'll be making sure that we're covering it every step of the way. But I do want to kind of go ahead and lead this, Grumpy, into our topic of discussion of the young guys, right? We had talked about how Barry Trotz, this was even all last year during the regular season, and even during the postseason, we had talked about, hey, I think Barry Trotz, the voice, it's kind of worn its welcome. And the young guys I don't think resonate too well with Barry Trotz. I want to talk a little bit about what your expectations are for the young players on this team going forward with a new voice in the room like Lane Lambert, and what you expect for them.
Who do we want to talk about first?
Let's talk about the guy who I think has a high ceiling, but who maybe had a Jekyll and Hyde type season, a great first half of the year. And if you look at his goal production and point production per 60 minutes on ice, and in the second half of the year, he wasn't even playing on the power play. Of course, I'm talking about a guy like Oliver Wahlstrom.
I'd say an absolute minimum from him is 20 goals this year. Minimum 20 goals.
That's what you expect, or that's what he needs to do to be successful?
I think that's what I expect, and that's what he needs to do. A minimum of 20. He had 13 goals last year. I think he's going to get more ice time under Lane Lambert, especially to start. I think he's going to have him on the first power play unit. And I think, that's going to be beneficial to him scoring goals. I mean, he didn't score a whole lot of 5-on-5 last year, but he sure scored a whole lot of power play goals. So for me, and I mean a minimum of 20.
Okay, I thought you were going to keep going for.
Yeah, no, I'm just talking about how many goals I'm looking for these young guys, which would be an increase of 7, right? Some guys are going to regress, but I expect him for certain to at least pick up 7 goals and have at least 20.
Let's talk a little bit about that. I'm expecting the points to be there, and more productive point wise is what I'm expecting from him. Also, another thing I'm expecting from him, I'm expecting his off the puck movement and off the puck creativity and forcing play off the puck to increase. And that's been one of those things to where at times, right, he looks like, God almighty, just look lazy away from the puck at times. And his skating has not been a huge plus. I'm not expecting his skating overnight to go from below average to an above average skater, but I'm expecting him to have worked on his skating all off season long to where he's an adequate skater. He's never going to be a guy who excels in the skating department, but I need to see effort, and I need to see a better stride this year out of him. I need to see more point production. I need to see the more selfish nature in 5-on-5 play as well.
I agree with everything you said. I think my concern is the same thing, the same issue I had with Kiefer Bellows under Barry Trotz, is when a player's rope is like this short, sometimes they don't play naturally. They don't do what comes best to them because they're so worried about making a mistake and getting benched again, or having the minutes cut to like 5 or 6 a night. And I think that's where Lane Lambert should be a breath of fresh air, at least early on anyway. For me, yes, I understand he needs to be a little bit better without the puck, but his benefit, without a doubt, is as a sniper and a goal scorer. That's where he makes his bread and butter, right? That's his job, scoring goals. I mean, I can live with a little bit of defensive lapses, because if he's, putting up 30, 35 goals a year, I'm not saying next year, but let's say consistently 35 goals a year, you can live with a little bit of the defensive liabilities that come with that.
Yeah. And again, I think that the change of coaching and a little bit longer of the leash always is going to help the players out. I'm just kind of going over what I expect. And I don't think you and I differentiate on what we're expecting from him. Better skating out there on the ice, better play away from the puck, more confidence. I think that's going to come with a different coach, a different voice in the room. And another thing is this. We've always talked about some guys need the carrot, some guys need the stick. As you get older and you're more of a veteran, right? He's not a veteran by any stretch of the imagination just quite yet. But as you have more NHL experience, you need to learn how to take different coaching styles and to be successful no matter what, right? When you're young, I can understand it's tough to get acclimated to that. You're getting a lot of things thrown at you. It's like drinking through a fire hose. But as you do get older and as you do have more experience, right, you have to be able to take different coaching styles and different ways to speak to you. So that's another thing I'm expecting him to do. That's a guy we need to see a big step forward. Otherwise, you're looking at potential bust territory or didn't live up to the expectation territory.
He's only 22. Okay.
So I'm saying by 23, 24 years old, you should be producing. It's the NHL. This isn't like, it's the same thing. All these professional sports leagues, it's not like you can wait till you're 24, 25, 26 years old to start producing the way you are. If you're going to be given premium opportunities, you're going to be given first line power play minutes. You're going to be given, top 6 minutes. I'm expecting production out of you.
Yeah. I think for coaching style, I think that Barry was absolutely the stick last year, where Lane Lambert's going to have to be a little bit of the carrot.
I think so too.
Particularly with the younger players, because it was pretty obvious that Barry Trotz gave an inordinate amount of rope to any veteran, but a young guy, no way. So I think that'll be beneficial to them, where they know okay, I'm playing tonight. If I make a mistake, I'm not going to get cut down to 5 minutes of the game. I think that really helps.
I think so too. And I think even it's just like when you struggle and young guys struggle. Here's the thing. They know when they're struggling, right? Every young man, when they're playing, they know when they're not playing well. It's not like, oh shit. Oh man, I thought I was doing well, coach. What do you mean I'm not playing well? They know when they're not playing well. And sometimes it's easy to kind of get like where it compiles on top of itself. It's sometimes nice to hear and again, like there's different ways to get about it. Like, hey, I like what you're doing out there or something, it's like different ways, right? They know, and that opens up an easy conversation to say, I know I'm not playing well right now, Grump. And that's pretty obvious. Yes, I know my camera's out. I'll take care of it in a second.
And, but you wonder if Oliver Wahlstrom had stopped listening to Barry Trotz at the end.
Perhaps. I wouldn't be shocked if he was the only one. We've talked about it, but this is not going to turn into a did we tune out Barry Trotz session. I do want to kind of move along to the next guy and the next player, what expectations are for him. I want to talk a little bit about Kiefer Bellows. This is a question mark, I'd say, headed into this year. Now, he's a guy, when he did play on ice, when he did play top 6 minutes, he performed. He got some stints in top 6 scenarios this last year under Barry Trotz and Lane Lambert, and he got some time in bottom 6 roles. So this is a guy who is chomping at the bit, ready to make himself a consistent NHLer. He's not that yet, but what are your expectations out of a guy like Kiefer Bellows this upcoming year? Okay,
Kiefer Bellows. I want to say for him, I would expect 15 goals from him this year.
You're expecting him to earn let me ask you this first. Do you expect him to earn a consistent role in the lineup night in, night out?
As of right now, maybe. I know that's waffling. I know I'm playing a waffle cone here, but still, I'm saying maybe. I think he played extremely well under Lane Lambert last year. Matter of fact, I think that has been his best sustained hockey playing for the Islanders. So whatever it is, maybe he did click with Lane Lambert. And when Lambert sees that, maybe he gets more of an opportunity. My concern is, what veteran are you going to bench to give Kiefer
Bellows time?
Kiefer Bellows a legitimate shot at the lineup, because somebody's going to have to sit to give him the opportunity to play. And who will it be?
It's not going to be Anders Lee. It's not going to be Zach Parise. It's not going to be Anthony Beauvillier. Maybe the only one I could see is a guy like Kiefer Bellows, or I'm sorry, a guy like Matt Martin. If you were able to find a spot for him, Kiefer's shown that he's not afraid to play the role where he's a checking forward or anything of that nature. He's not a fourth line guy. That's pretty straight up and obvious. But yeah, Grumpy.
Well, but if you put him on the fourth line, it's defeating its own purpose. He is a top 6 player.
He's not a fourth line guy.
Right. You know what? That's terrible. I've been having this problem drinking. I have a drinking problem.
I was looking at you. I was like, what the hell are you doing? I see you doing that all over the place.
I pulled the drink too fast away from my face, and sometimes it falls out. It falls all over my pretty little costume here.
Your costume, you mean your shirt? Yeah, Grumpy. Yeah. First off, looking sleepy, looking like I had to pry your eyes open because you got some itch in your eye, and now you're spilling grape drink all over yourself.
Hey, it's a tough day today. What can I tell you?
I was about to say, Grumpy, the on-off of the podcast that you pulled earlier today, too. Anyway, but a guy like Kiefer Bellows, it's a crowded room. It's a crowded room, grumpy old man. And you got the bing bongs going on over there with the phone. It's a crowded room. And I think that's the biggest hindrance for him. I hope with a new staff, right? If he comes out and plays a fantastic preseason, I want to see him in the lineup opening night. I want to see with this new coaching staff, I want to see the guys who perform well are rewarded in the form of ice time. I don't want to see us in a situation where everything is penciled or everything is hammered in granite at the start of the year. So no matter what production and what struggles there might be, the lines are already made up. I don't like to see that. I'd like to see open competition to reward players with spots in ice time.
And that's not something that we've seen in the last number of years.
Not under Barry Trotz. That's correct.
And, you wonder how much Lane Lambert is going to tinker with that.
I hope a lot.
Yeah, I do as well. But it's like we've made no moves, none. I mean, who are you going to sit? Like I said, I'll go back to that. Who are you going to sit? He should not be, for me, why not sit Zach Parise? Play him on the fourth line.
Oh.
Drop Anders Lee down to the third line. I don't know. To me, Kiefer Bellows, I wouldn't mind seeing him with Matt Barzal.
Okay, Kiefer, okay. They're not going to sit Zach Parise. Zach Parise played extremely well last year.
Put him on the fourth line, and you sit Martin.
So you want to now demote Parise to the fourth line. Parise played, what, like 15 minutes a night last year?
I don't care. He's going to be 38 next year. That doesn't mean, just because you did well last year, it doesn't mean you're guaranteed play. You're a bottom six guy.
I'm not thinking that Zach Parise is going to struggle next year. Let me put it to you like that, right? I mean, like Parise averaged 15 minutes and 17 seconds of ice time last year a night, played all 82 games, had 15 goals, 20 assists, so 35 points as a third line guy. Again, he did a little bit of everything, played, I think, some power play time, played on the penalty kill. I have no problem at all with what Parise brought to the table. I don't think a guy like Matt Martin needs to be in the lineup anymore.
Okay.
I know he's got 2 years left on that contract, but I think that needs to be the odd man out, and how they're going to have to divvy up that time really comes down to the coach.
I mean, don't you think that fourth line has lost some juice?
For certain. The fourth line they're finished. From what they used to be, they're a shell of themselves. We've talked about it before. Matt Martin is finished. A guy like Casey Cizikas, you could tell age is kind of catching up to him. And Cal Clutterbuck's now 30, he's 34 years old?
Yeah.
They don't have the same pop. They don't bring the same pop to the party they used to. And this is the time where you start slowly transitioning away from that.
And the worst part is, Casey's not the same player, and we have him for another 5 years.
I thought it was 4 years. Is it 5?
Yeah, he signed a 6-year deal. So another 5 years, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, if you put Casey in the middle with Parise and Clutterbuck played well last year when he was healthy. Then your fourth line is kind of rejuvenated again, in my opinion. But still,
technically, he just got older on the fourth line.
Yeah, so. Well, but they play harder. Matt Martin is just finished, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Zach Parise is a huge upgrade over him, and I thought that Clutterbuck, when healthy, played well last year. Casey is what he is, but maybe playing with Parise maybe rejuvenates him. I don't know. Maybe I'm just grasping at straws, but everyone's over 30 on that line.
You're grasping at straws because I think realistically, there's no way they demote a guy like Parise after the year he had last year. They're not going to move him from third line to fourth line. He's cemented in as your third line left wing. You can knock that one and grant it. I think the only chance and the only spot that Kiefer Bellows has to crack the lineup is a fourth line left winger. Or if injuries occur, that's the only way he could free himself up a spot. Unfortunately, it's the only way I think that can happen.
Yeah, like I said, for me, and I guess, I'm sure he's already signed, and that's one of those Lou's hiding that signature in his desk drawer. So, I mean, because Kiefer Bellows isn't going anywhere, I just want him to get a legitimate shot, which he's never really gotten. So, for me, like I said, but he's a top 6 guy. That's what he is. And when you play him in that role, he just seems to play better. He's not a grinder. He's a guy who drives the net. He's like Anders Lee in many ways, I think, but with better skating. Not as big, but he's got a better shot and he's a better skater.
Yeah, again, I'm not too sure. I think there's certain things he does better than Lee. I don't think he fights in front of the net as well as Lee does. Maybe skating. I don't know. They're both below average skaters, so it's kind of a moot point. Who's the better below average skater? I don't think it really matters that much. The biggest difference between him and Lee is about the $6 million cap hit difference a year. That's the biggest difference for me. And whatever Bellows is going to sign to. So a guy like Kiefer Bellows, he's a cheaper version of Anders Lee, but it's just unfortunate we've got him for such an extended clause there, or extended contract. But I think he may be his best avenue to earn himself consistent time is by battling it out and earning himself a spot on the fourth line. I think that Matt Martin spot he can earn.
Yeah. For me,
I don't want him to play the Matt Martin role, but here's the thing. If he doesn't have, he's not going to win. He's not going to take over Anders Lee's spot. He's not taking Anthony Beauvillier's spot. And he's not taking Parise's spot. There's one spot I think he could tangibly take, and that's Matt Martin. If he's got to work and put his foot in the door through the fourth line, then to elevate his game up, to move it into a middle six role, that's how he's going to have to do it. I just don't see him walking in and being a middle six guy.
You might as well just let him go then, because he's not a fourth line player. That's not his skill set. Absolutely not his skill set. And he's going to be 24 years old next year? Yeah. That's not his skill set. Sorry. Let him go then. Move along. If you're going to dump him on the fourth line, like I said, I'd move Parise down to the fourth line. No problem. That's what he is anyway. His skill set at 37, 38 years old is that of a bottom six player.
And he does play bottom six.
Well, he should play on the fourth line. Maybe that helps out your fourth line, like I said, which was,
anemic at best.
It was dreadful. So maybe you just drop him down there.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, if Leo Komarov was good enough to play in the first line, don't tell me that Kiefer Bellows isn't.
Well, let's move along there too, because I kind of want to have a chance also to cover Anthony Beauvillier and Matt Barzal. I think both of these two players, right? They're older players. I wouldn't call them, young guys, in that sense. They're vets in the league now. They've both been in the league for at least 4 or 5 years each. I think Beauvillier 1 year longer than Matt Barzal, but both I'd say had underwhelming seasons last year for their own expectations. Anthony Beauvillier, usually a guy who's very streaky and inconsistent in nature, didn't have a great year last year. And Matt Barzal, a guy who is, I'd say the most talented player on this team, didn't have the best year last year. He didn't look like the most talented player maybe in spots he looked like the most talented player on the ice, but in results, he was not the best player on the ice. I want to ask kind of what you expect of those two guys, younger players entering the prime of their career. What do you expect with the coaching change? What do you expect them to do?
Okay, let's touch on Anthony Beauvillier first. He only had 12 goals. Minimum, you have to be expecting 18 goals from him. The mango pineapple, absolute minimum, 18 right. Goals.
You got a little ad going on there. The mango pineapple,
absolutely minimum 18 goals from him. And maybe 30 assists, 28 assists. That's what you need from him.
You're just looking for 48 points.
Yeah, between 45 and 50 points next year for him. That's what I think he needs to produce. Now here's the thing. You see, I'm projecting all these guys to have more goals next year. Every one of them, so I'm expecting regression somewhere else. And for Matt Barzal, he's got to score at least 20.
Well, let's talk about point production too. So you're just saying, scoring 20 goals, how many points as a total, right? Because the guy is predominantly a playmaker. He does have a good shot when he puts a puck on net. He does have a good shot. But what do you expect from him total point wise?
We're talking,
he brings more to the table with assists.
We're talking about Barzal now.
Yeah, you jump from Anthony Beauvillier to Matt Barzal. So
right. So for me, points wise, he almost has to have 68, 70 points. But it's going to be hard because who's going to play? He looks like another helicopter line situation. Maybe if Kadri comes in, they pop him at wing. Maybe there are a few more points. I think he'll be better only because he's out underneath Barry Trotz's thumb. I think that was a big problem for him last year. You could just tell he did not. He and Barry just did not. They just did not blend.
Like water and oil.
Yeah.
What the
water, oil, and water. Yeah.
What the hell, Grumpy? Are you okay? My God. Anyway, a guy like Bavillier, I think, will always be inconsistent at best. I'm not expecting some renaissance in his game. I am expecting that's a guy who should be putting up 45 plus points a year. If he does anything less than that, I think it's an underwhelming year. I think he's a middle six guy. I think the maximum he caps out as a second line guy. I think reasonably on a really good team, he's a third line guy. Third line guys can put up 45 points in a year. That's kind of what I'm expecting from him.
How many?
45 points a year.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's what he should be putting up, 45.
I said that's usually what I said. Third line guys can put up 45 points a year.
Only on good teams. Only on good teams.
Okay. I said he's a middle six guy on a really good team. He's a third line guy. On a team like ours, he's a second line guy. So, he's a third line guy on a really good team. So, this is a guy who I always expect to be streaky in nature. I'm not expecting that to change. Matt Barzal, I got to really see more out of.
Well, he's going to have to play with, he's going to have somebody to play with. You can't put 37 or 38-year-olds on the line. You can't put guys that can't skate and just stand around on the line. You can't put Josh Bailey's on his line. He needs more talent around him. That's why I wanted Johnny Gaudreau. To me, that was like peanut butter and jelly, that line. But it didn't happen, right? And what have you done? Nothing to improve that situation.
It's like peanut butter and jelly. Grumpy, do you need me to do the PB&J and PB&J metaphor again?
No, please.
But Matt Barzal, I'm expecting serious production of, right? This is a make or break year for him regarding, can you be an elite level guy, or are you a guy who probably caps out at a number 2 center on a really good team, a number 1 center for a team that's not really good? I think he's got the skill set to be a guy who should be a number 1 center on almost any team in the NHL, but I need to see the production.
Well, he's already proven that he can be a point of game performer. That's what he was in his rookie year.
So let's assume, okay, well, the Doug Weight system, let's not have any secrets about it. Doug Weight system played 0 defense, all offense, all heavy forecheck, all about scoring. I don't anticipate that is going to be the Lane Lambert system. He's probably going to play, more. He's probably going to be more defensive centric, but I'm still expecting a guy like Matt Barzal. He should be putting up 70 plus points a year. Some years where things are not as great, but he should be a 70 point a year guy. If he's under 70 points, it should be a disappointing year for him.
Okay. So 70 points a year. I still think that's, if he was on a team that had a little bit more offensive acumen, he's well above that. He is an offensive player. I don't care that you want to play a defensive style. You still have to utilize the talent that you have to get the most out of the talent. He's an offensive player. Then that line should just do whatever it wants. You put whoever you got to be out there with it so that they're scoring. Barry Trotz wanted to turn everybody into third line centers. That's not Matt Barzal's skill set. Once again, you don't jam players into a system. You adjust your system to the players you have.
Okay, let's assume he puts up 60 points this year. Let's get to the point of it, right? Instead of you speak and hit those same points all the time. I'm just speaking bottom lines. Let's say he puts up 60 points this year. Are you saying that's a successful year for Matt Barzal, or are you expecting more than 60 points from him?
Who's playing on the line with him?
Jesus Christ.
Because if it's him and reincarnation of Komarov and Parise, then I say that's a great year. It depends on who he plays with.
Okay. Let's assume he's playing with competent wingers.
Who? Tell me who.
Let's assume maybe even he bounces out to wing, and he's playing with a guy like Kadri and a right wing. Name whoever you want. Parise or Palmieri, Wallstrom. I don't care. Name whoever you want at right wing. Let's say he's playing with a right wing. He's moved to left wing, and Kadri's centering that line. That's a competent line. How many points are you expecting from him on a competent line? That's my thing. I'm expecting at least 70 points a year if healthy.
65, maybe.
Wow. So you don't think he'll ever be?
Kadri's not a creator.
You can be the creator at wing.
So you expect him to become better by playing a position that he's never played? Okay. I'm just going to say that's probably not going to be the case. He's a natural center. That's what he is. He's a creator. If you're kicking him out to wing, that means he's not having the puck all the time.
What I'm expecting from him is best case scenario. You've got yourself a situation where he's a playmaking wing. I don't know again what's going to happen with the center situation, what's going to happen with Kadri, but if we were to bring a guy like that in, I don't see them moving Kadri out to wing. That's for certain.
No, I don't either. So maybe, like I said, we're not talented enough. What are you going to do? Put Brock Nelson on the first line, put him on the wing, have Kadri be your second line center?
Okay. Well, you're having a hard time with that, Crump.
Because here's the thing. If you're going to re-sign Barzal, he's going to get more money than Kadri. He's going to be your number one center. So then you go right back to, you're going to give a second line center 7 years and $6.5 million per.
Well, they didn't do that with Brock Nelson, and Brock Nelson's deal has been a sweetheart deal for us. So I don't want to get this into talking about the term, right? We've kind of moved on from that, Grumpy. We're talking right now production from Matt Barzal, and you've deviated and taken this away somewhere else. I just want to know what you think production-wise, right? This segment, I want to know guys who underperform, guys that are young, guys who I think could still take steps forward in their game. What do you realistically expect them to do? Okay. I don't want to take this or you to drag this back to contract talk.
Okay. Well, that's why I'm just giving
by general managers.
That's why I'm just giving you goals. I'm not going to give you assists. I'm just going to give you goals. Matt Barzal needs to score at least 20 goals next year. I'm not going to get into the assist game because that all depends on who he's playing with. If he gives beautiful setups to guys and they just can't pot the goal, put the puck in the net, that's not on Matt Barzal. That's on their lack of talent. So I'm going to say he needs to score 20 goals next year, which would be an increase, a 25% increase over the 15 that he had this year. So I have no problem with that at all.
Okay. Thanks for the answer. Let's move on too. I think that we look at Noah Dobson took a huge step forward in his game towards the tail end of last year, right? It was kind of Barry Trotz being out with COVID and Lane Lambert giving more time on the, well, it's technically Lane gave him less time on the ice, I think, than Barry did. But it was, I think, kind of the increased role that Noah Dobson got thrown into when players were out with COVID was what kind of thrust him further onto the scene and thrust his game forward. I want to understand a little bit about what your expectations are for him, because the first half of the year, I'd say he struggled a bit. People were thinking, hey, we can include him in a trade. We can trade away Noah Dobson for player XYZ. People were so prone to just throw his name into a trade idea. And I say, how quickly you forget what talent and ability this young man has. And in the second half of the year, it was like a light switch moment. The guy was an unbelievable defender. Defensively, he wasn't our best defensive defenseman, but he was our best offensive defenseman by a country mile. He was one of the better overall defenders that we had on the ice. And at the young age of 22 years old, what do you expect from Noah Dobson? Do you expect another step forward or kind of a plateau for him this year?
I do not expect a plateau from him. I think he's going to be, and I don't know if it's going to translate to points, but I think he's going to be a better driver of play next year. Remember, he had 52 points last year. And, towards the end, and that was playing with Chara. I think with playing with Romanov on one side, somebody who can actually play defense should free up Noah Dobson, right? So I think if Noah Dobson has 55 points next year, 15 goals, 40 assists, I know I threw assists in this one.
Wow, Grumpy, how can you do that? Wow.
Just because he's a defenseman. That's But it'll just be maybe a modest increase in production. But I think as a driving force for the Islanders, I think he's going to be better next year. I just don't know if it's going to translate to points necessarily.
I kind of have the same expectation. He put up a lot of points from us from the defensive end. I expect he will have more freedom. He'll have more trust in his partner and a guy like Romanov than he had in Chara. And I think Chara, right, the veteran leadership was important. Teaching him how to be a true professional was important. All those things are pertinent to growing and maturing into an everyday NHLer. That being said, there were just certain things on the ice that Zdeno Chara couldn't do. He couldn't cover the surf. He couldn't cover ice that well towards his advanced stage at 44 years old last year. And you got a guy like Romanov who skates well, and you don't have to feel like I have to make up or cover additional ice because of the possible lack of skating and the lack of mobility of my defensive partner. I think that should give him a little bit more freedom and allow him to be a little bit more creative in the offensive zone. So, I'm expecting more production and more threat coming from him, more creativity and freedom coming from him in his own zone, I'm not sure it's necessarily going to result in more points. I mean, how can you ask for much more than out of a defenseman in this system? 52 points. You know what I mean? If you're getting 50 some odd points as a defenseman a year, that's a fantastic offensive output, in my opinion.
Yeah, and like I said, I think he's going to have more opportunity. Will it lead to goals? I don't know, but I think it'll help the rest of the team, if you know what I mean. I mean, because he's going to be able to be creative. He's going to be able to carry that puck all the way up the ice because he doesn't have to worry about getting back. Maybe he'll start driving the net more or going deeper into the zone. I mean, because the kid has really good vision, right? You see, when he's going behind the net, he always hits a guy who's wide open in front. He just has that natural, that gliding, skating style. And like I said, I'm all in on him. You know what? I'm going to go 60 points. Let's say an 8-point improvement. Why not? What the heck?
Jesus Christ. Look at you, Grumpy. So easy.
I'm so positive. I'm just positive tonight. I don't know.
Yeah, and I figure it's easy to do this where we'll slowly kind of break down what we expect. And, as we see the lines kind of get finalized, we'll kind of go into more what we expect right before the season starts. But that is something that I think, we haven't looked at too much. We've talked about it briefly, right? Best case scenario was young guys and the players who have performed in the past that necessarily didn't perform last year, they could take a step forward this upcoming year. But how big of a step are we expecting? Right, I think that's the best case scenario for us. Players that had performed well in the past, who didn't have a great year, that are young and could still improve, those players taking the steps they need to make, those meaningful steps forward in their progression of being a professional. But before we jump into go ahead, Grumpy.
I'm just saying, if you get 25 more goals from those players next year, I think it kind of curbs the regression that you're going to see from guys like Josh Bailey. Brock Nelson's not going to have 38 goals next year. Anders Lee probably not going to have 28 next year. Some guys are going to have a natural regression. Maybe Kyle Palmieri scores a few more goals next year.
Oh.
I mean,
let me ask you this real quick. You expect Josh Bailey to score less than 14 goals next year?
I expected about 4 from him.
Okay. Well, let's get into the ad here before we start jumping into the comments. Today's podcast is brought to you by DraftKings. The action never ends at DraftKings Sportsbook, especially this summer, with tons of ways to bet on all your favorite sports. You can fuel your fandom and feel the heat of the season like never before. Plus, right now, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving new customers a risk-free bet of up to $1,000. That's right. Make your first bet up to $1,000. And if it doesn't win, you get another shot to cash it in. You can throw down on all major action from baseball, golf, MMA, and more. Plus, with same-game parlays, spreads, money lines, over-unders, and props, your betting options feel endless. Best of all, DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, and you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code THPN and make your first deposit and get a risk-free bet of up to $1,000. That's promo code THPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See the show note in the details for additional notes.
Nice job on the ad read.
Grumpy, grumpy, grumpy. Now, do you know who Paddy Pimblett is, Grumpy?
Who?
Paddy Pimblett, the UFC fighter.
No.
Paddy the Baddy. Oh man. Maybe tomorrow we'll have to show you who Paddy Pimblett is. Oh man, he's like the new.
Oh, it's a guy. I thought that was a girl's name.
No, Paddy Pimblett, the guy, the UFC fighter with the long blonde hair.
Still could be a girl.
He's from Liverpool. He's from that Liverpool area. I'll have to show you tomorrow. We'll show you tomorrow. I'll make sure I got some stuff prepped up on Paddy Pimblett tomorrow for you, Grump. Christopher C saying TJ is running late again. I dispute that claim, Christopher.
Not me.
David F said, good evening, fellas. Good evening, David. And he said the New York Idols for the Islanders. I like that one. John Smith said, what's up, fellas? Another day dealing with a master of passive aggression, Lou Lamoriello.
Yes.
Brian J says, let's go Mets. That's right. Mets beat the Yanks yesterday. Not sure what the score is today. John Smith also said, Brock scored a hat trick in the Beauty League tonight. So there's that.
Whoop-de-doo.
I know they always like to talk about the production in the Beauty League. Oh, look at what he's done. I don't really care too much for that stuff. But no, it is good to get updates on that. I'm not expecting, I know I'm expecting, regression point wise from Brock Nelson, just because I don't expect him to continue on career high point production next year. But maybe he does. Maybe he surprises us all. Scott L says, "Hey, Grumpy, are your eyes okay?"
He's going to be the one guy who gets better in his 30s. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I'm not saying he's going to be the one guy who gets better. I'm just saying he could stay similar. Some guys, it just does take them a little longer to find that prime.
Oh, how many years did it take him? 7?
Grumpy, Brock
8?
Nelson, first ballot Hall of Famer. Okay.
Oh God.
Keep his name at your motherfucking mouth, Grump. What? Hold on. Are your eyes okay? You're itching them a lot.
I told you I got something in my eye today. I already told you that.
What did you get in your eye?
I don't know what it is. Stop bothering me and just continue with the comments.
Because it's odd. Anytime I'm looking over you, I'm seeing like one eye half.
Oh my God! Just shut up.
Oh man. But what's up, Scott L? Joseph C said, I sent you guys a link on TJ and the Grumpy Old Man feed about Brendan Burke. Okay, let me check that out, Joseph. Give me 1 second. And hey, gentlemen, let's freaking go Mets, says Matthew S. Yeah, let's go Mets, Grump.
The Mets, that's another team the Yankees can't seem to handle is the Mets. Mets and the Astros. What do they both have in common? Good pitching.
Well, hell, DeGrom's not even up yet with the Mets, so that might be a problem.
He did pitch today, AAA game. Little underwhelming results, but he's looked overall in his rehab stint. He's looked good. They think he could come up next week.
Oh, my goodness. Tony Cheese has got – hold on, let me jump ahead of this. Tony Cheese sent me a message here on Twitter. He has found and cut the he's found and cut the defensive back Cooper clip.
I don't know how the hell he found
the famous. Yes, I'm gonna send you the DB Cooper clip. It took me too long to find it. Tony Cheese, the unofficial hero of today's podcast, with our defensive back Cooper clip. Hold on a second.
Tony should be cutting up our stuff and putting it on YouTube.
Tony does. Hold on, here it is, Grumpy. My God, I'm looking at myself. Holy crap. Can't wait for this. It's like watching a train wreck. I don't want to watch it, but I'm going to.
Well, you got to post it for everyone to see.
Hold on, give me a second. Damn, Grumpy.
Particularly if it makes you look bad. Everyone wants to see that.
Give me a sec. Jesus H here. Okay. Oh no. I'm trying to get it to where I could see. Oh, Jesus H. Give me a sec. Let me just try to take it here. Hold on 1 second here. I'm hoping. No, that didn't do it. Okay. Give me a sec. I was hoping that was going to be a smoother transition. Sorry about this. I'm not ruining the bit. I promise, Tony. Give me a sec.
He's trying to ruin it to make himself. He's trying to see if he can cut it to make himself look better.
We're having technical issues. Sorry. Okay, here we go, Grumpy.
Everybody.
Tony the Werewolf says here, I got to tell you, Josh Bailey is like a 21st century defensive back. Cooper. He's stealing.
No. DB Cooper, not defensive back Cooper. DB Cooper.
Who's DB Cooper?
Oh, God, here we go again. Okay.
Oh, God,
see, these are little clips that have to be out just individually because everyone will look at that. Defensive back Cooper. But here's the thing, TJ, I do feel bad for you because you'll be known as buffoon.
Defensive back. I don't mind. It doesn't bother me at all. I didn't know who DB.
There was no such thing as defensive back Cooper.
Oh man. Defensive back Cooper. That one still lives on in the family. I still get shit about that. I still get shit about that off air all the time. I'll let you listen to that one more time.
Warden says that we shouldn't show that anymore because it's picking on her boy.
I don't care. Don't worry, Warden. Tony the Werewolf says here, I got to tell you, Josh Bailey is like a 21st century defensive back. Cooper. He's stealing.
No. DB Cooper, not defensive back Cooper. DB Cooper.
Who's DB Cooper?
Oh, God, here we go again. Okay.
Makes me laugh every time.
Yeah.
Now that I know who DB Cooper is, it kind of makes sense, that comment. Oh, man. Gotcha. Thank you for that, Tony Cheese. Much appreciated.
Don't lose that because that has to be posted up. I'm sorry, on our page. Absolutely.
Okay.
That and the Josh Bailey one, stuff like that needs to be
We got to
posted.
go back and look.
See, that's Tony should be an unpaid intern and help us out with that stuff.
He's gonna be like the unpaid interns in the O&A show.
No one, I don't even know what that is, but no
The
one.
Opie and Anthony Cumia show. Come on, Opie and Anthony show.
Okay, so long story short, no one gets paid on this show.
Yeah, not even us. Dave C said, seeing that Tarasenko was in play for the Kachuk trade by the Blues, that has to mean that they're still shopping him, right? Must not be a good feeling knowing your team is trying to move you. Not to mention with what happened last year, could this be good for the Islanders? Do you think there's an opportunity for the Islanders getting a guy like Vladimir Tarasenko? I didn't know he was being shopped in the Kachuk trade. I was not aware of that. So this is news to me.
Yeah, I didn't realize it. We said, well, maybe that was the case, because Calgary still wants to compete. But I think they wanted to get younger. I don't think they wanted to get older. And remember, he's an unrestricted free agent at the end of next year. So maybe if they could have brought in a young guy and brought him in as well, maybe that worked for Calgary. But as of right now, I don't think he's going anywhere. He had a really good year last year. And like I said, he's getting ready to hit unrestricted free agency at the end of next season.
Another thing I'm concerned about too with that, I'm not sure what St. Louis is wanting back in return. I don't see us saying, hey, let's trade away Scott Mayfield now, right? I think that's a guy who tangibly fits on that St. Louis team. I could see him wanting to sign in St. Louis long term, but I don't see us saying, yeah, let's give up Scott Mayfield. And I'm not sure there's anybody of value that they're going to want. It's not like they're going to say, oh, yeah, let's do Anthony Beauvillier. St. Louis is still looking to compete and win a cup. They're not looking to rebuild. So I just don't think we're a great trade partner for a guy like Tarasenko. I hope I'm wrong because I think the talent is undeniable with a guy like Tarasenko, even though the contract situation is more of a question mark. I think the talent is definitely there.
But if you're getting a Scott Mayfield and an Anthony Beauvillier for Vladimir Tarasenko, you wouldn't take that if you're St. Louis?
I'd take that from St. Louis. I wouldn't take that if I'm the Islanders.
Yeah, I'm just saying I would definitely take that if I'm St. Louis.
If your season is out of play, you are going to get more to trade away a guy. You would get more trade value giving up players like Anthony Beauvillier or Scott Mayfield. Scott Mayfield is a guy who's a top on any team in the league, on most teams in the league, is a top 4 defenseman. Has played top 4 for us last year on a very cheap sweetheart deal, a stay-at-home defensive defenseman. You're looking, even if you trade him at this year's trade deadline on an expiring contract, you're looking at least a first round, if not a little bit additionally. And a guy like Anthony Beauvillier does have value. I don't think one of those individual players has more value than a guy like Tarasenko, but I think together they do.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
And I'm gonna say, should I even? Does anyone agree with me or not? I almost feel like I wish we'd be kind of out of the playoff picture fairly early.
Shit.
So we're moving Mayfield and Varlamov for picks going into a really deep draft next year. Is it wrong for me to hope that that happens?
Yes, it is.
And I only say that because, it's wrong for me to think like that. I only say that because I just don't think right now we're good enough to compete. Maybe we could squeak into the number 8 spot and get blown out in the first round, but that's about it. I mean, so if that's going to be the case, I kind of want to cut bait a little bit early and move those guys and get ready for the next reload. Just talking out loud there.
Well, I disagree, Grumpy. It's not good to be saying that before the season even starts. That's just your perpetual hope for the rebuild to be completed. That's just what you want to do.
True.
I don't even know why you'd say something like that, Grump.
Do you think this team is better now than it was at the end of the year when we were 16 points out of a playoff spot?
I think the coaching change helps a lot.
How many points?
I think the change of voice helps.
How many points does a coaching change?
Shit, man. You're going to ask me to go ahead and break down how many points? I'm not sure.
8?
I really couldn't tell you. Here's the thing. Let's say Oliver Wahlstrom takes a real step forward. Let's say a guy like that does a lot better. He is a different guy speaking to him in a room. It just clicks for him. I could see that being a guy who jumped from, how many points did Wahlstrom have last year? 25?
I don't know how many points he had.
You had them all pulled up. Do you not have them pulled up anymore?
Hold on.
God almighty, don't worry, I'll find it.
Wallstrom had 24 points.
I can see that going from a guy who puts up 24 points to close to 50 in 1 year.
I was going to say 40.
I firmly believe that's a guy where if things start clicking, I think he's a guy when it rains, it freaking pours. And when things are great, they're freaking paradise. That's the type of feeling I get from him as a player. So I could see a guy like that easily, because the guy has the innate ability to put the puck in the net. If you play him on the power play and he continues to improve, if his skating is a little better, that's a guy who could jump from 24 points a year into about 49, 48 points. He could double point production in one season. So, yeah, you're asking what it could do. I think really coaching change could make an effect. We might give up more goals in all likelihood, even though we're improving defensively where we don't have Chara and Green, which were two anchors back there. I still think we could maybe give up more goals next year than we gave up this last year. So just always make sure I'm putting that in. Phil tweeted this to me. He said, we need to listen. This is a must listen. This is from NHL Network 2 hours ago, talking about Lou Lamoriello and whether the Islanders are in on a finalist on the Nazem Kadri sweepstakes. So give me 1 second.
Oh my God, it's another one of these.
What do you mean?
We're always finalists. We're this, we're that. We never get anybody.
What does it indicate to you, the fact that he hasn't signed just yet? What does that tell you?
It tells me that there's some teams out there that they're certainly interested. There's been a lot of interest in Nazem Kadri. Some of those teams probably went to option B or maybe even informed that they probably weren't going to be a finalist in the Kadri sweepstakes. But I think that there's teams trying to create some room for him to fit him under this quote-unquote flat cap. This is a guy who, the way he played this past season, is demanding a lot of dollars in that market. So some of the teams that are interested and can need him and use him, which really is all, but the teams that are still in the mix here, they got to move some pieces around. So I think for Nazem Kadri, the market doesn't wait for people usually, but it waits for the top end crop of the free agent market. And that's certainly him. He's up there. So I think everything will be fine. Maybe the numbers are coming in.
Got to stop him right there. Okay, the top end free agents were off the board day one. Johnny Gaudreau was off the board day one. Johnny Gaudreau is a million times better than a guy like Kadri. The really top end guys find a spot day one. This is a guy who's the next tier below, though.
They go early because they set the market for everybody else.
Exactly. Johnny Gaudreau was the guy in this free agency, right? If Philip Forsberg was available, he would be gone. If he made it to unrestricted free agency, he would have been gone day one as well. But I'm sorry. I just wanted to nitpick that one little point. I know it's me being a little freaking, getting hung up on that minutia, but I wanted to. Sorry.
And that's part of it too. Maybe the numbers are coming in a little more skewed, a little more under what you thought they would be as far as bearing the market bearing the right kind of salary that he thought he was going to get. But nonetheless, this guy's going to get signed. He's going to be a huge impactful player. I think he's just kind of waiting to see what teams can do as far as making room.
And it feels like the longer we wait and the quieter it stays, indications point towards the Islanders, just based on the fact that that's usually how Lou Lamoriello operates, right? Close to the vest, and all of a sudden, boom, we've signed Nazem Kadri.
I will say
15 years ago.
From a very
hold on, Grumpy, hold on.
Reliable source back when Lou was in Toronto, and when he took over there, remember that was kind of pre the new Toronto Maple Leaf era where they were trying to rebuild and change this team. And I heard that there was one guy that was untouchable. Everybody's up for grabs except for Nazem Kadri. Yeah. Lou loved Nazem Kadri. He's a gamer. And I know just from growing up in the Lou Lamoriello organization, he loves guys that come with their work ethic, their lunch pails, and they work and they have that edge to their game. And that's Nazem Kadri. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is a great fit for him. And if the Islanders, again, you're hearing nothing. You hear the fan base. What's going on? Why isn't anything happening here? Well, maybe the big prize. Yeah, Lou Lamoriello knows what he's doing. He's been around the game a long time. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't come to fruition here with Nazem Kadri, but I think all signs are pointing to the Islanders.
Yikes. What a great, sorry, Grumpy. I didn't need to put thank you, Phil, for putting a real downer on today's podcast, Phil. At least we could have lived in some sort of la land for another 4 or 3 days until our Saturday podcast when we saw that. But oof. Thank you for sending that, Phil. My God, I don't like hearing stuff like that.
Again,
there was one guy that was untouchable in Toronto from when Lou Lamoriello was there, and that was Nazem Kadri. Wasn't Austin Matthews at the time period. Wasn't guys like Nylander. Wasn't guys of that ilk. Wasn't guys like Mitch Marner. The one untouchable on that team was Nazem Kadri. Holy shit. That should scare Islander fans.
Again, I'm like, I just, the deferential tones. It's like you're all sucking up the Lou Lamoriello teat. It's like, just because they haven't done anything is good news for Islander fans. How'd that work out last year? How did it work out the year before?
Well, we got to listen in the last minute one more time. I'm
see
sorry.
What teams can do as far as making room.
And it feels like the longer we wait and the quieter it stays, indications point towards the Islanders, just based on the fact that, like, that's usually how Lou Lamoriello operates, right? Like, close to the vest, and all of a sudden, boom.
Okay. When he signed Varlamov, that was a day one signing, right? Day one. So he didn't wait until whenever. He signed somebody he really wants, he goes out and signs. He lowballed Gaudreau. Then you hear him talking about, well, he likes gamers. Well, Johnny Gaudreau's a gamer, without a doubt, and you lowballed him? Are we to expect that you're offering this guy, what, $8 million a year? But just the way they say, oh, he's, like I said, they might as well say he's playing 3D chess. They might as well just come out and say it. And everybody else.
He plays 4D chess, not 3D, Grumpy. Don't knock him down a peg. He's playing 4D chess.
Here's the thing. Lou Lamoriello used to be a great general manager. He's not anymore. He's 80 years old. I think what happens now is he's got a plan A. It doesn't work. He's got a plan B. Only after plan A doesn't work, he's like, well, what else can we do? Oh, maybe we'll go after Kadri. If they offered him a contract and he didn't sign, it means he doesn't want to go there.
I'm going to tell you one thing. To hear them say he's still going to pay big money, well, there goes any thought. Remember how we were playing best case scenario? He's not going to get he's not going to get small term, and he's not going to get a low cap hit, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to get freaking paid, and he wants to get paid. But let's listen back to this one more time, too, this last little bit.
We've signed Nazem Kadri.
I will say this. This comes from a very reliable source back when Lou was in Toronto. And when he took over there, remember, that was kind of pre the new Toronto Maple Leaf era where they were trying to rebuild and change this team. And I heard that there was one guy that was untouchable. Everybody's up for grabs except for Nazem Kadri.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. That scares me. That scares the living shit out of me. When I hear something like that, it's not the fact that Nazem Kadri is going to be an Islander, right? I still think there's conditions where that could be an okay thing for us. The thing that scares the living shit out of me, though, is when I hear there's one player that's untouchable. We're not going to move no matter what. Doesn't matter what you're willing to pay. He's not moving. That's Nazem Kadri. If you've got a player that's untouchable, if you're trying to bring him in through unrestricted free agency, I'm just going to roll the dice. You're probably going to give an arm, a leg, and a testicle for a player like that. And so that means you're going to give up way too much cap hit. You're going to give up way too much of an AAV, way too long of a term, and you're probably going to give him a full no move / no trade clause, because that's something that Lou Lamoriello loves to do. And there's nothing better than giving a no trade or a no moves clause to a 32-year-old center who's having the career year.
Yeah,
that scares me. That's why it scares me. Here's another guy who's going to be in his 30s that we're giving a no trade clause to, that we're going to overpay for because he's an untouchable. Wasn't untouchable in Toronto, so all the signs line up. We hear Kevin Kurtz from The Athletic talking about it. We hear other guys, right? A very reliable source during that time period to work for Toronto said untouchable, Nazem Kadri.
Lou loved Nazem Kadri. He's a gamer. And I know just from growing up in the Lou Lamoriello organization, he loves guys that come with their work ethic, their lunch pails, and they work and they have that edge to their game. That's Nazem Kadri. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is a great fit for him. And if the Islanders, again, you're hearing nothing. You hear the fan base. What's going on? Why isn't anything happening?
What's going on? Why isn't anything happening? I love that shit.
Because he's
try to reduce it to something that's what's going on. We're just a dumb fan base. Come on.
So everyone else is signing free agents.
We're the only team to announce.
There's table scraps left, and all of a sudden, I'll say it again. When was the last time an Islander signed a high-profile free agent? Never.
The highest profile free agent we've signed. The last one didn't work out so long. A guy like Andrew Ladd. How old was Andrew Ladd when we signed into that long-term contract? Was he in his 30s?
I think 30. I think he was 30. This guy's going to be 32.
He already is.
It's like, I'm sorry, 3 years. I backed off year 4, 3. Take it or leave it.
32 October 6th. So he'll be 32.
So before the season starts, he'll be 32. So 32 years old. I'll say it again. 3 years tops. Tops.
We signed Andrew Ladd when he was 31. So right around the same age.
But, okay, Andrew Ladd was really worn down when he came to us. Now, he played even a way more physical style than Kadri does.
That's true.
He was a real warrior back in the day. People forget how good Andrew Ladd was.
Oh, yeah. Andrew Ladd was really good back there in Winnipeg. He was really good for Chicago. He was a really good player.
Carolina.
Carolina in the short stint he was there. He won a cup with Carolina, didn't he?
Yeah, he was good. And here's the thing, Kadri's a good player as well. But do you want to continue to make those same mistakes? Andrew Ladd, Brock Nelson, Jordan Eberle, Kyle Palmieri. Is there anyone under the age of 30 you might want to consider signing? Does everyone have to be over 30 years old before you give them a long contract? Baffling.
Phil, thank you so much for sending that. I'm sorry. Let's get back to some comments. So now we know what thoughts are as well around the league. Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, man. Oh, man. Phil said, though, he was a 25-year-old center on a first number one center on a sweetheart deal. Of course, he was untouchable. Look at the production of a guy like Nazem Kadri. There was one guy that was untouchable. It wasn't Austin Matthews. Wasn't guys like Mitch Marner. Wasn't guys like like William Nylander. The untouchable is Nazem Kadri. It wasn't, though, Austin Matthews. That guy could be had. That wasn't the untouchable on that team.
Well, I think Kadri was there before Matthews got there, right?
How long was Lou there? Lou was there when Austin Matthews was selected. No, he was there. He was in Toronto for more than 2 years, was he not?
I think 2 years where he had a position of power.
He's still there.
Okay. I just don't know if this was pre-Matthews or not.
I'll look that up. You keep talking.
There's no way you say, okay,
everyone. He was there through 2018. Lou Lamoriello was there through 2018. Matthews has been on the team for more than 2018. So out of the untouchable list, there was never a Austin Matthews is an untouchable listed right there.
But we don't know when that comment was made, is my point. How long had Matthews been there at that point in time? Was he there? Was it before Matthews got there? Because as soon as Matthews got there,
Matthews was selected in 2016. So he was selected during the Lou tenure.
Okay.
He was there, started in 2015. Matthews was there, first overall pick. So Mitch Marner was selected in 2015, fourth overall selection. So it wasn't the Marners or the Austin Matthews that the guys were untouchable. It was the untouchable Nazem Kadri. Okay.
You know what that means, right? Lou must go. if you can't judge talent, if you're saying an untouchable is a guy who's, he was a third line guy for Toronto.
In Toronto, he was the first line. He played top 6 minutes. He never had over. Okay, think about this though. At the time period, Nazem Kadri never had over more than 50 points in Toronto.
Right. He was not the number one center. And when Tavares wasn't there, he wasn't even the number 2 center. He was number 3 guy.
No, I don't remember what it was back then. I got to look that up, Grumpy. I'm not going to make a statement like that.
Matthews was number 1. Tavares was number 2. He was number 3. And he was a good number 3. His talent is certainly greater than that, but he wasn't as good as Tavares or Matthews. Never.
That was towards the tail end of Lou.
Yes.
He was playing 17 minutes a night, 18 minutes a night. So he was a first line guy, Grump.
He was not the first line center. He's only played center.
Okay, Grumpy. He was playing 17, 18 minutes a night. He was a first line guy.
Well,
all I'm saying. Top 6.
Okay, what were Matthews' minutes?
Holy shit. Okay. I don't know why you're getting hung up on this point.
Because Matthews was the number 1 center. Matthews was the number 1 center. He was never the number 1 center when Matthews was there. He wasn't. Maybe number 2 before Tavares got there.
I don't know why you get hung up on this point, brother.
Because he was not a number 1 guy.
Matthews was playing 17, 18 minutes a night as well. They both are playing 17, 18 minutes a night. Okay? So, but again, Matthews was a much better player than Kadri, and it's always how it should have been. But, the one time we're here, Nazem Kadri was the one guy who was unmovable at that time period. Okay. Fair enough. Let's get back to comments here, Grump. Oops. Give me a sec. I have to jump back up here.
You want me to do the comments?
Sure, you can do comments, Grumpy.
They'll be fast.
Yeah, you better do it right, though, Grumpy.
Kadri's going to be an Islander. Hope not, Brian.
Yeah, I want Grumpy, read the names of who's coming in.
Doug R says, hello, TJ and Grumpy Old Man. Hey, Doug, what's up? James Farrell from Pittsburgh says, hey, what's up? I don't know. How about with you, James? Scott Levy says, drag assing. That's great. That was TJ. He was drag assing. That's why we were late today. Danny Tabernac says, LOL, this guy is grumpy. Look at that eyeball. Let me give us the eyeball. Bob,
he's giving you the eyeball, Grumpy. I think it's
okay. That's all right. Bob, son of Stan, says, hey, guys, good evening.
What's up, Bob? How are you guys?
Charles Dittmer says, John Davidson beat us twice. First time was the bread boy, and the second time was Johnny Hockey. Yeah, that's right. And he also beat us in 1979. So it's actually 3 times. And Brian John says, if Kadri signs here, Barzal is a goner. Book it. I mean, if you're going to move Barzal to winger, maybe he's going to say, screw you, I'm not a winger.
I could see him saying that affects his pay, right? If I'm going to wing, point production has to be significantly more than a center would. And, he's not a guy who puts up Johnny Gaudreau's numbers at wing. Johnny Gaudreau, we saw what he got paid. There's no way you can justify a guy like Matt Barzal wants to make money. All these players want to make money. You move them to wing, they have less ability and less chance to make money. I think it's as simple as that. So if he's looking from a pure dollar and cents wise, maybe he's like, I want to make more money. Put me at center, put me at XYZ, give me the chance to put up points or I'm gone. I could see, again, nobody has any idea what he's thinking, but I could see that.
John Volpe says, Kadri could be the next lad. Definitely not a signing that excites me, especially giving a 7-year deal to a guy already over 30. He's 32. And I wouldn't give 7-year. I mean, only an imbecile would give him a 7-year deal. Only an imbecile. You heard it here first.
Look at John. He's got some sort of poker tournament he won right there, Grumpy. Look at that. I like that picture, John. I like it.
Yeah. Toby O'Connor says, what's up, fellas? Love those 2 cute kids. Brian John once again says, I can't believe you said Dak Prescott was better than Kyler Murray. LOL. That's you, TJ.
That's correct, Brian. And I stick by that statement. Sorry, the little midget there from Arizona doesn't hold up. He's got banged up arms at the age of 24, 25 years old. I'm telling you one thing, that deal is going to be looked at. And if you're a Cardinal fan, you're going to be freaking regretting that later on down the road. Book it today. Book it damn today. I stick by that statement. Sticking by.
Okay. Next. Dagar says, spoiler alert, guest host on Saturday is Lou Lamarillo.
Yeah.
No, not true. Not true.
I don't think, no.
Pony Boy Curtis says, oh boy, TJ time.
He said old TJ time.
Brian John says, the mighty Frank is here.
There it is.
Stater Survival says, I want to go back to the time when we used to sign players for 3 to 5 years. Signing players beyond 5 years is just too much of a risk. It screws everything up, unless a guy's really young. But signing guys who are 29, 30, 31, 32 to 5-year deals is just stupid. Brian says, I can't believe this Lou is killing us. You're killing us, Lou. You're killing us.
Absolutely. Frank K's got a comment that says, fire Lou. He sucks.
Renee D says, Kadri is no savior. He is good at getting suspended. He is very good at that.
I was about to say, he leads the league in playoff suspensions, I'm pretty sure. Every single year. It's almost like the Olympics. And it's like the opening torch touch of the Olympics. They take it around the world, and Kadri has to get a suspension in order for the playoffs to begin. The 1 year he doesn't get a playoff suspension. Did he get suspended this year for running into who the hell was that?
He was hurt.
Or no?
He was hurt. I don't think he got suspended at all.
Who ran into Binghamton? I thought that was Kadri. And he started to get threats to him. Like Rachel.
Oh, yeah, something. Yeah, something like
that. I thought, was he suspended for that or no? Because I remember we said, holy shit, that was questionable at best when he ran Binghamton. It took Binghamton out of the series.
I don't think that he got
He
suspended.
got a suspension. Okay, every year he's almost good for at least one postseason suspension
In the playoffs.
No, at least one postseason suspension. That's correct.
If you're going to get suspended, do it during the regular season, not during the playoffs.
Playoffs.
Toby O'Connor says, I hear they're in on Klingberg. I doubt that. That makes no sense to me. Again, I just think everything, the Islanders, because Lou did it the last year or the last 2 years, he held out on signings till just before training camp. Before that, he was never doing that. That's a relatively new thing because he's too stupid and old to figure out the damn salary cap. That's the only reason.
Brian J says the whole organization sucks.
Not just a little bit, not just pieces of it. The whole organization from top to bottom sucks, according to Brian. James Farrell says rumors, Muzzin and Kerfoot for Bailey and Bellow or prospects. Bellows. That makes no sense.
That makes no sense.
From Toronto's side, that makes no sense.
I know they have to get Sandin signed back. They've got to get players signed back, but I don't see us getting that much of a sweetheart deal.
I don't know what Muzzin is making and Kerfoot, but Bailey's making $5 million. Bellows is going to make what, 1.2? I mean, okay, a prospects. We don't have any of those. They don't need prospects. They're loaded on prospects. I don't know what, like I said, I don't know what Muzzin and Kerfoot make, but it had to be significantly more.
Doug R's got a comment, Grump.
Time to be honest, getting one player, even at a high level one, I do not think is going to help us get to the cup. Thank you. Maybe it's best to stay as is, shed what can be shed, and look at the loaded 2023 UFA market, as well as the loaded 2023 NHL draft. Doug R is thinking what I'm thinking. Scott Levy said that's what he does every offseason.
Time to get up the billboard and fire Lou Lamoriello, says Brian J. Oh, goodness. No, we're not that bad yet, but man, oh man, I do remember, what was it? Fire Wong? Or what was it? What the hell was it that the billboards went up with? That was about Charles Wong, right? Sell the team.
I think it was Milbury. Maybe he was Milbury.
No, Gar Snow. He was Gar Snow.
What any Islander GM fit?
Man, you know how bad and the lack of production we've had from all different areas, general managers, ownership, to where I could say maybe they were saying sell the team Wong or fire Gar Snow. Who the hell knows? I honestly forget back then.
Danny Tabernac says, I'd give Tavares back to the Islanders for free.
Oh, gosh.
Yep. That'd be the type of move. Let's see if we could bring Tavares back and extend his contract.
No. Matthew S. said, I'm praying it's not us. Oh, yeah. Man. Oh, man. State of Survival's also got another comment here, Grump.
The Avs don't have a high-end second center, so the Leafs could have won without John Tavares.
Toby O'Connor says, I hope Lou just waits to get a deal done when teams need to be cap compliant.
I think he don't know what the hell he's doing. He's probably just playing marbles and shit in the corner or jacks or something.
Going out to fine dining with his lady. Dave C says the Flames are in as well on Kadri.
Well, that replaces a little bit of the snarl that they lost when Tkachuk left. That's not a bad spot for them.
I don't think so either, as long as they don't sign him to a huge long-term deal. I think so too. Matthew C said, I want Tarasenko.
I want my MTV.
What the fuck is that? I heard Washington's also going to make a push.
I don't see how that works for them cash-wise.
Neither do I. Grumpy, another comment here for you.
Hey, you geezers. Which was the most excruciating Islanders loss in history? I know mine. 75 versus the Flyers, 78 versus the Maple Leafs, 79 versus the Rangers, 84 versus the Oilers, 02 versus the Leafs, or 21 versus the Lightning. TJ, I'll let you pick one. I know there's only one you could possibly pick.
I was only really present and cognizant of one of those losses, and that was 2021 of the Lightning, Grumpy, but I'll be right back.
To me, it was 71 versus the Leafs. Always the worst loss. Lanny McDonald, that piece of shit, scored in overtime to beat us in Game 7 at the Coliseum. It was terrible. Losing to the Flyers was bad. They rolled out that fossil what the hell was her name? Smith. Betsy Smith. I don't remember her name. Saying God bless America. Flyers never used to lose with her. And that was a tough loss. The Rangers, John Davidson stood on his head. That was the one that helped us get over the hump, though. Then we brought in Butch the next year. The 84 versus the Oilers, we were beat up. We were beat up in that at the end of that series. I still thought we were going to win, though. Thinking of my age, I'm like, yeah, we were never going to lose. But that was tough because we were going for 5. The one against the Leafs, yeah, you thought that we were going to win that series after Bates did what he did. And 21 versus the Lightning, no, they were just so much better than we are. So that never bothered me. So for me personally, it's always been the 78 against the Leafs. That's always been, for me, the worst loss ever was losing to the Maple Leafs in that game with Lanny McDonald scoring the overtime goal. I couldn't believe it. The Rangers, like I said, once again, I know it's the Rangers, but Davidson was incredible. And I like John Davidson, to be, truth be told. I always liked him. So those are the ones that I'm looking at. But if anyone else had any other big losses that they would consider, how about the biggest win in Islander history? I think it's only one, right? It was 1980 against the Flyers. That's the biggest win ever. And I want to say second is probably 83 against the Oilers, because everyone was saying the Oilers were going to win that particular series. And, we'd run out of gas, and the guys were just great in that series. So those are the two biggest wins. But anytime we lose to Philadelphia is bad, period. All right, let's see if I can find some other comments on my own here. State of survival. The game has changed a lot in the past 5 years. Scoring has gone up in general. So I don't look at as players having career years, just the points are getting a bit easier. Goaltending is much better than it used to be, but they are trying to loose things up. The league wants more scoring. Scott Levy says, even if they announce the Kadri signing, it still wouldn't help sell season tickets. 100% right. He's got no marquee value. Doug R says, if Kadri comes here, do you think that'll help Barzal feel any better on the wing? Nope. Need to add a winger, not a center. 100% agree, Doug. Brian John says that Kadri's a 55-point player max. I agree with that. Doug R says 79 versus the Rangers. The Islanders expect to be in the finals that year. That was a huge upset. It was, but more excruciating for me was against Toronto. State of Soul says no one can afford what Kadri is asking. Kadri has to accept less, even if we don't sign him. I don't know why he didn't sign right away. You don't wait because there's less money to go around. Danny Tabernac said, exactly, TJ. I can't imagine what that do. TJ's usually wrong on everything. Scott Levy says, only one way to get an uptick in season ticket sales, and that's if they get McDavid or someone of his stature. Other than that, not selling many season tickets. And the whole thing is, if the fans don't think that they're going to be able to compete, who's going to re-up for season tickets? I think it's going to be a difficult sell. Brian John says, tank for Bedard. We're not going to be that bad. Stage of Bible says no one can afford what Kadri's asking. The cap hasn't increased. Kadri will be forced to accept less no matter what team signs him. Agreed. Scott Levy asked if we saw a quote from Jonathan Toews. I have not. I'll ask TJ about it when he comes back. State of Survival. Lee should have gotten a 5-year contract, not more. That was even too much. I mean, 4 years tops. 4 years tops. He's just not that good. Sorry. Marv Williams says Grump is going to wear a Bailey jersey on his podcast the day he leaves. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hold on. What's been going on, Grumpy? How many contracts how many of these comments did you get through since I've been going?
I just finished up Marv Williams at 8:47.
Marv Williams. I heard you say something about me. I'll ask TJ when he gets back.
Yes, there was Scott Levy asked if we heard about the quote from Jonathan Toews.
No, Scott, I'm unfamiliar. I'll look it up here, though, in a second.
I will continue with the podcast, with the comments, as long as you look that up. State of Survival says, Kadri, second line center.
Give it a break. Hold on. We got a comment here from Joseph, who is not speaking so kindly to the grumpy old man. I want to show this one first because this is kind of funny. He thinks that you may be under the substance or maybe under some substances, Grumpy, possibly crack is what he says. He did have a few comments. He tweeted as he said, LOL, if the Islanders are in it at the trade deadline, they're not trading away players for picks. Grumpy's on crack. And also, Lou is general manager of the year 2 of the last 3 years. Again, grumpy on crack. Don't be scared.
Don't be scared.
Joseph. Here's the thing, my friend. I think here, if we're in the playoff picture, we're not trading away assets. Simple as
Yeah,
that.
I mean,
If we're in the playoff picture, I think we should trade away assets. It's as simple as that too. I don't care too much about the GM of the Year award, the popularity contest. I could really care less. The guy who wins the cup is all I care about. I rather our general manager never win a general manager of the year award, but win cups.
True.
I'm sorry. And I'll look up Jonathan Taves. What comment are you
on? State of Survival said Kadri, second line center, move Nelson to the top line left wing. All right. I guess that, is that optimal? I don't think so. Dominic Andreassi says they would need to eat part of Bailey's salary and not give up many assets. True. I'll tell you, Dominic's looking sharp in that picture.
So Jonathan Taves said that and thanks for bringing this up here, Scott. He said the Blackhawks long-term rebuild does not sound appealing to me. He says, in direct quote, does not sound appealing to me.
That's how you unload some of those super high price guys. You go into a full-on rebuild and just say, you're not part of the plan. And they'll want to leave. They're not going to just stay there.
Yeah, right. What, Grumpy? Hold on, Grumpy. You think you have time to take drinks at your role here if you're going to be doing these rapid fire? Grumpy, why don't you just pull a whole bunch? Why don't you just finish that whole drink so you don't have to go back for a sip every 5 seconds?
So this way I don't have to go to the bathroom 6 or 7 times during a podcast like you.
Only one time. Come on. Get on with it. Brian B's got a comment, Grumpy.
My brother from another mother says, I can't believe our upgraded forward is going to be Kadri. Buh.
Yeah, you talk about going into this offseason. If you said that was the upgrade, I'm not sure many Islander fans would have been too pleased about that.
Brian John says, another year I don't go to UBS Arena. I think a lot of fans are going to say that. Once again, Dominic chirps in and says, we cannot keep getting older. That's true.
Dominic, you sound like you've been listening to this podcast like a regular for years and years, my friend. I'm going to comment here from Jeff S. Grumpy.
If Kadri comes in, move Barzal to wing. Barzal will want to leave. Nelson stays put after his year. He's a complete player. Pajot can move to wing, but Kadri is not coming to the Islanders to play third-line center. Correct. Nelson stays second-line center. Cizikas, Kadri not playing the fourth line. I agree. I never felt that he fits here. Could be a desperation type of move. That's exactly what it feels like. It's a desperation move because you lowballed Gaudreau, who never wanted to come here, by the way, just like he never wanted to go to the Devils. They had somebody else who gave him really a pittance compared to what everyone was saying he was going to make. He couldn't jump at Columbus fast enough. Who the hell says Columbus is the area I want to live?
Columbus, Ohio. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Sorry.
Danny T. Grumpy.
Just liked and subscribed, guys. Thank you very much, Danny. Well, I really appreciate it.
That's right, guys. If you like the content, always make sure to leave that little thumbs up button. And if you're new to the show, make sure to subscribe. Again, we go live every Wednesday and Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Got a comment here from State of Survival, Grump.
The good problem, the problem with Barzal is he sucks at faceoffs. Okay.
The good problem. I understand.
Here's the thing. He's better, but he's not good enough right now at faceoffs. Correct.
As we've said before, there's certain things Matt Barzal needs to do. Going to faceoff camp is one of those big, important things. Rich A. Grumpy.
Yeah, that's a good freaking idea, moving Barzal to wing in a contract year. 100% right. And that's exactly the way
there might be a little sarcasm. There might be a little sarcasm behind that one by Rich.
I read it like that.
SP's got a comment.
My question is, where did half of the Canucks fan base get into their heads that we are trading Dobson for Miller? I have no clue how that rumor caught fire.
Yes, so it apparently on social media, and this is something I didn't even bother bringing up on the show because it's so ludicrous and out of the realm of possibility. But apparently some of these fly-by-night sites or fly-by-night rumor sites, so something different than normal fly-by-night sites, are talking that in order to get JT Miller, I think that Noah Dobson is going to have to be involved in a trade like that. I think that we can get a trade revolving JT Miller and Noah Dobson kind of straight up.
Once again, Noah Dobson is one of maybe 5 players on the whole organization that's an untouchable to me. That's it. 5 tops.
Noah Dobson's ceiling is miles above what JT Miller's ceiling is.
At this stage of his career.
52 points as a 22-year-old defenseman who skates like the wing, who has a good big body. that could play playoff minutes like that, you don't trade a guy like that away for a 29-year-old entering a contract year. Sorry.
True.
Michael DiCapo says Grumpy.
Kadri will play on the second line and move Nelson to wing if he signs here.
You could always do that. We've always talked about Nelson is a would be a natural wing, but he's played so well at center under Barry Trotz. I just would be hesitant to move him to wing.
Well, like I said, that's why you don't sign a center when you got 4 centers. Just don't do it.
Got a comment by Doug R. Grumpy.
There is no way Barzal will stay if he is put on the wing when he is due a big payday very soon. Centers get paid more than wingers. So why would he stay to play wing? He
One of those questions I've always had too. People pontificate, would Matt Barzal stick around a while? You're right. Wingers do not get paid as much as centers. And if he's looking just from the dollar and cents wise, why would he stay here long term if we're going to put him at wing?
True.
John Smith has got a comment, Grump.
Lou signed Kadri's last deal. You know how Lou loves to revisit guys in his past. He does.
He loved Matt Martin so much he had to sign him twice.
He signed him. He wasn't good enough to even play in Toronto. He was, the king of the healthy scratch. And then the Islanders felt they had to
they traded for him. They had to trade for him, then sign him.
And then turned him into Steve Austin, the $6 million man.
4-year contract. Dominic A's got a comment too.
Barzal played wing with Pajama Boy, so I don't think he'd want to leave moving to the wing. I don't think he would want to leave moving to the wing.
Talking about he won't leave, maybe, but I think it all has to do with dollars and cents, Dominic.
Yeah, it's one thing when John Tavares is the center. It's another thing when Nazem Kadri is the center.
Brian J says Nelson is gonna have a down year. I don't think it's a down year, but it's not going to be the same as last year. I think he could still have a solid season with less production. I still think he's a very good center, and I think he played. I mean, it was a career year last year. I'm not expecting another career year this upcoming year. Nick D's got a comment for you, Grump.
TJ, the curve. How are you guys doing tonight? All I keep seeing is people want to trade Barzal for JT Miller or for Elias Pettersson. I don't want to see Barzal traded or playing wing. It's people are starting to
grasp at straws, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's that time of the season, right? Every move has been made. Who hasn't made a move? Oh, those stupid Islanders. What could they possibly do? Nothing. So let's see who can they move? Who has any value? Matt Barzal.
Well,
so So let's trade Matt Barzal for JT Miller or Elias Pettersson. I don't see Pettersson get moved either.
Well, I think we're at that point in the season where they start looking, right? The Islanders haven't made any moves. They say, well, the Islanders surely can't head into camp with no additions made on their forward group. So this has all been part of a maniacal and just ingenious strategy to wait out other teams in a flat cap era, to where the Islanders could surely take advantage of another team's cap misfortune and come out as a victor. How are they going to do that? Let's look at every situation where they can. And I just think we might be grasping at straws a bit. I think if there's one player we get, it's Kadri. And if it's not him, I don't think we get any player. Simple.
We're just going by what we usually do in the offseason. Nothing.
Jeff S., grumpy old man.
Gaudreau would fit. That would have been great, unless he was unable to move Bailey's contract. You could have gotten rid of Bailey's contract. There were so many other guys you could move as well, not just Bailey.
SP, grumpy.
I do not want Kadri. I mean, he emphatically does not want Kadri.
He says, I do not want Kadri.
Yeah, man, because those are the caps. Why the hell would Barzal want to do that? We're going to have a hard time trying to convince him to stick around here. Exactly. Lou keeps on messing up one thing after another.
Shay has a comment, Grump.
I'm nervous what the contract would look like if we did sign him. Talking about Kadri. So am I, Shay.
Absolutely. Joseph C's got a comment as well. Oh, shit. Let me pull up that thing he sent us as well. Give me a second.
Kadri just has huge overpay written all over him. Oof. He's not going to put up anywhere close to the 93 points again. And here's the thing. He didn't even score 93. He scored 87. Not even 93. 87. So for him to get the 93, forget about it. SP says, Nick D, for some reason, the entire Vancouver fan base thinks we are trading our entire team for Miller. It's hilarious and frustrating at the same time.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I wouldn't take too much stock into it. I wouldn't lose any sleep. And Grumpy, here's another comment.
Bob, son of Stan, says, Why with the square peg in the round hole? That's not how good teams are structured. Thank you very much, Bob. You know.
And Nick D said another rumor I heard about was Muzzin and Kerfoot for Bailey / Aho or Bellows. What do you think, the curve?
If that's an actual deal, I'd make that deal.
I think that is a lot of hearsay. I just think that's a lot of, I'm just trying to pontificate what would
Kerfoot. I think this is Kerfoot's last year there, but you're moving out Bailey, which is addition by subtraction. Aho, who cares? Muzzin could take over to play the left-handed defense spot. I'd even be willing to move Bellows as well. That's fine.
Ooh, by the by, grumpy old man. So this was about Joseph C. sent us talking about Brendan Burke. Said New York Islanders. Now this is written by NYI Hockey Now. Steven Rosner does a good job, I think. They're covering the Islanders. Has a comment, or he went ahead and wrote. He's asking the question of and thinking that Brendan Burke might be following in the footsteps of Sterling, to replace Sterling, who's 84 years old for the Yankees, John Sterling, and making the transition possibly to the Yanks.
Good for him. I like Brendan Burke. Nice guy. Good for him. That's a great job. That's a step up for him. A massive step up for him.
Good for him. He does a fantastic job.
He's really good. He's really good.
Yeah. And again, I'd wish him nothing but the best. And they talked about Howie Rose talking about that transition as well.
And Howie Rose, he went to the Mets, right?
He did play-by-play for the Islanders television play-by-play for 21 years from 1995 to 2016, and then went to the Mets.
Yeah,
he rolls with the Mets, covering them back to 1980s, and lead broadcaster in 1995, and left the duties there and rejoined back up.
Yeah, so, Brendan's really good. He's really good.
Good for him. We've met him before, Brendan Burke, before games, and
really
nice, fantastic.
Really nice.
Yeah,
sharp dresser too. Sharp dresser.
Absolutely. Everybody, it was always funny to see everybody, clamor around Butch Goring and Brendan Burke kind of just hanging out in the periphery. But he's a very nice guy. At the limited time we had met him. Yep. Pony Bear Curtis says,
kick Nelson out to wing, that useless piece of shit, with Kadri. Nelson's played a ton of wing.
SP says, on the Avalanche, Kadri is a great number 2 center who can put up points. On literally any other team, he's an okay third liner who gets suspended a lot.
That's what he was in Toronto. He's a third liner.
Doug R. said, I said this last week, and I'll say it again. The only way you bring Kadri here is if you're also trading Matt Barzal for a ton of assets.
If you were trading Matt Barzal for a ton of assets, why would you even sign Nazem Kadri? Why? It means if you're trading Matt Barzal, you realize this iteration of the Islanders team is over. You don't sign a high price free agent for that.
Brian B says 6 years at $7 million per is way too much. Absolutely. State of Survival says, well, this is the business. What we could potentially get for Barzal in a trade that would make us a better team.
Draft picks. I just want draft picks and young players.
Yikes.
Nobody who's maybe a guy who's played a year or two in the league, but nobody more than that. I just want young guys and draft picks, more draft picks, and a new scouting staff so that we don't pick the useless pieces of shit that we've been drafting under Lou Lamoriello.
And more draft picks, right?
And even more draft picks, yes.
Oh, good gracious. And Phil, I love this. He sent it to us again, Johnny on the spot. Look at this. He said, it wasn't Charles Wong. I don't know why I thought it was. It was the Snow Must Go campaign. That's right. Who forget of the Snow Must Go campaign? Oh, yeah. Got a comment from SP. In order to sign Kadri, we have to get rid of either Bailey or Beauvillier because we still haven't signed Romanoff or Dobson. Then we have Barzal next season. Why would we put ourselves in cap hell?
Because we do dumb shit like that all the time. We were out of cap misery when we didn't get Panarin. And then we decided, well, you know what? Let's piss it away on Lee, Nelson, and Eberle. Think about that. 7, 6, and 5 years for 7, 6, and $5.5 million per. Think about that.
Jake Muzzin has a bad contract as well. Phil was telling me, and he's got a full no trade clause, and he never waived that to come here. Jake Muzzin, let me pull up that contract for you.
Yeah, I mean, okay, once again, we've seen that no trade clauses don't mean that you can't get traded. So, like I said, I don't know how many years he has left.
33-year-old Jake Muzzin has 2 years left on his contract, making an AAV of $5.625 million a year.
So he's a wash with Bailey.
Kind of. You're taking a little bit more cap on for
and Kerfoot. When is Kerfoot?
He's also the assistant captain too, Muzzin. So
well, fits the type of player we like. And what about Kerfoot? Here's the thing: he'd be playing a bottom pairing with Mayfield for a year.
I don't know. Give me a sec, Grumpy, to pull up Kerfoot.
I mean, I don't know if he's got if this is the last year of his deal or what he's got left, but
Kerfoot, the last year of his deal, making $3.5 million.
Okay. So we're taking on, $9 million and we're giving up.
They get some cap relief. And again, like Bailey has no value.
Well, then you know what? Throw me a draft pick too. Throw me a draft pick as well. Give me a first rounder.
Has the full no trade cost.
Here's the thing. It doesn't matter. You can talk him into that. And here's the thing. We want a first round pick. Absolutely. That's what we want. First round pick. We're taking Jake Muzzin off of your team. I mean, it's a wash. And then we're also taking Kerfoot, who you're not going to be able to re-sign. We get a first round pick for that. And we'll throw Yahoo. No problem.
I got a comment here from Phil. He says, if Barzal has Canucks pajamas and Vancouver wanted to swap, make a swap centered around Matt Barzal and Elias Pettersson coming back this way, would you do something like that, Grump?
Read it to me again. I'm sorry.
If, again, you've got Matt Barzal who has his Vancouver pajamas on and he wants to go play out
Seattle.
Vancouver. Seattle's not trading away the valuable young players on their team. Simple as that. But let's assume he's got some Vancouver pajamas on. Hey, I'd like it more if you had Seattle. Give us give us some of the young players you've got here in the system. But that's not going to happen. Would you be willing to center a deal around Matt Barzal and Elias Pettersson if he was hell-bent on going to Vancouver?
I like Pettersson. I just think Matt Barzal competes harder. But yes, I'd be willing to entertain that. I would be willing to entertain that. We'd have to get more than Pettersson, though. Pettersson's a good player.
Yes, I like Elias Pettersson, a guy who always lit it up in the Swedish Elite League too, but we've got to have more back in return. If he's not willing to sign long, okay, who's also to say that Elias Pettersson wants to be here?
No one wants to be here.
I won't say that, but we have no idea.
The old guys want to be here because they can't extend their career anywhere else. But hey, for the Islanders, woo, like I said, it's like Major League Soccer where good players go to die.
Oh, come on, Grump. Come on, Grumpy. Got a comment here also. SP says for a 32-year-old center. Dominic A says maybe is Barzal the answer, though? Tons of talent, but is he a franchise player that will make the difference for a cup? I'm not sold on that.
I think that's surrounded with he's not Connor McDavid, right? Connor McDavid, best player in the league. This is the furthest he's ever gotten in the playoffs this year. Furthest he's ever gotten. And he's loaded with talent around him. Loaded. Draisaitl's really, really good. I mean, look at how long it took Ovechkin to get to a Stanley Cup Finals and then win one. I mean, Barzal can be that guy, but here's the thing. We have no talent around him. None. Zero, nada, nothing. Bupkis. No talent around him. He needs more talent around him.
As State of Survival said, true. I'd rather sign TJ for 6 years at $6 million per, even with all of his warts in the Polish DNA.
Oh, wow.
SP said, apparently the Islanders have the most players on their roster in the league who have been drafted by the team. Almost every one of those guys were drafted by either Snow or under the Lamb by Snow. Lou has done nothing to build our team.
100% agreement on that. 100%.
You look at the players that are not on our team that have been acquired via trade or free agency. You've got Alexander Romanov. Every other defenseman on this team has been drafted. You've got Semyon Varlamov. He was not originally drafted by our team. You've got then on the forward group, you've got, if you go to the first line is all Islanders drafted players. Kyle Palmieri is in there in the mix. He was not drafted by the Islanders. Zach Parise was not drafted by the Islanders. And Jean-Gabriel Pageau was not drafted by the Islanders. I've got 5 guys that played for the Islanders that were in Cal Clutterbuck. So 6 guys on the roster that were not drafted by the Islanders that played for the Islanders. But again, Cal Clutterbuck was here originally when Lou Lamoriello got here. There's a lot of players that were already here when Lou Lamoriello got here.
What does it tell you? 6 players on the entire roster that we didn't draft. 6. And we've won absolutely nothing. It should tell you something.
Out of a 23-man roster, that's right. Anyway, State of Survival said, what do you guys think of Patrick Kane or Jonathan Taves even? Chicago has the cap room to take back salary, so it could be done.
Well, who are they going to take back? Kane and Taves both have one more. This is their last year on those deals, I believe.
Right. And I've got no interest in Jonathan Taves.
Yeah, Taves is finished. Patrick Kane's still really good, but are you even going to re-sign him? The answer is no. So what would you trade back to Chicago? They've absolutely blown it up.
Youth. Yeah, exactly. They've blown shit. They gave up on Kirby Doc, right? Young 23-year-old Kirby Doc. You know, they didn't even tender. Was that?
He's only 20, I think, Kirby Doc.
Was it only 20? Okay, young 20 or 21-year-old Kirby Doc, they gave up on already. They didn't even tenure an offer back for a guy like Dylan Strome at the age of 24 years old, right? Where all it took was us just ponying up the money to keep him here. Didn't even bother with that. So, you know, you're the Chicago Blackhawks are in a system where they're just blowing literally everything up, blowing it to shreds and restarting from scratch. Yes. They're looking for draft picks. They're going to get a first-round pick and a very, very heavy and very, very deep 2023 first round pick there for Patrick Kane. They might get a first plus, to be honest. They'll probably retain half of the cap hit to make sure it works. They'll probably take on a bad contract at the end of the year. That's a guy they're trying to trade at the trade deadline. I firmly believe that. You're going to get more at the trade deadline for him than you would at the beginning of the year, I believe.
Yeah, but they're in full tank mode.
Yes, they are. Matthew S. said, with Matt Barzal, you try to lock him up, and if he doesn't agree, you look to trade him and tear it down. Absolutely.
I've been saying that for how long?
Yep. James F. said, what are your thoughts on trading for Klimberg?
He's an unrestricted free agent. We could sign him if we wanted to, but where are you going to play him? On third line, third pairing?
I mean, like a third pairing defenseman, you're looking maybe for a veteran or maybe just giving the reins to Robin Salo. You don't need a guy to play more than 15, 16 minutes a night in that role. You don't need him to play a large amount.
He's going to make a boatload of money too. That's another guy that
he's going to make what, $4 million plus? We don't need to be, what? More
than that. He was like the top free agent defenseman. He's going back to Dallas.
You think so?
Yep.
SP said, on the plus side, Ratu had a multi-point game in the showcase the other day and was going to be representing Finland in the World Junior Classics. Ratu is
World Junior Championships.
I'm sorry. Ratu is a ray of sunshine in our barren wasteland of a prospect pool.
I like that. That's a creative last sentence there. I like it.
Yeah, and Doug R said, Klimberg's unrestricted free agent. SP said, the only times this season I saw Wally try to break through the Trot system was at the beginning before all the benchings. And that was the time he tried to lacrosse the goal and then got benched.
See, that was a problem with Barry. You can't stifle creativity. Like I said, Trevor Zegras wouldn't even have played on this team.
He would have tried that move and scored on it. And we said, sit your ass on the bench.
He would have tried it in practice, and Barry would have read on the damn riot act, and the kid would have said, screw you, I'm not playing here.
That's what Zegras would have said at that young age?
Yeah, he said, suck it, armadillo.
Suck it, armadillo. Oh, my goodness gracious. I got a comment. Now, this is from John M., and I thank you for sending this. He sent us what the unrestricted free agent market looks like for this next year. McKinnon technically will be an unrestricted free agent. He'll be 27 years old. You got David Pastrnak, who will be an unrestricted free agent. He'll be 27 years old. You've got Patrick Kane, will be an unrestricted free agent at 34 years old. Jonathan Huberdeau will be an unrestricted free agent at 30 years old. JT Miller will be an unrestricted free agent at 30 years old. Dylan Larkin of the Detroit Red Wings, the good old Red Wings, will be an unrestricted free agent at 26 years old. Ryan O'Reilly will be an unrestricted free agent at 32 years old. Max Pacioretty, unrestricted free agent, 34 years old. Vladimir Tarasenko, unrestricted free agent, 31 years old. Timo Meier, unrestricted free agent, 36 years old. Joel Pavelski.
How old was Timo Meier? He's not 36.
26.
26. Okay.
I'm sorry. I meant to say 26 if I didn't say that. 26 years old. Joel Pavelski, 39 years old. Mackenzie Weegar, Grumpy loves so much, defenseman from Florida, now at the Calgary Flames, will be 29 years old. Freddie Anderson of the Carolina Hurricanes will be 33 years old. Matthew Dumba, defenseman from the Minnesota Wild, will be 28. Bo Horvat, 28 years old. Dmitry Orlov, 31. Brian Dumoulin, 31. Tristan Yari, fantastic no-glove hand Yari, 28 years old. Alex Killorn, 32. Tyler Bertuzzi, 28. Travis Sanheim, 27. So you're seeing there's a lot of players that will be unrestricted free agents this next upcoming year. Some older, some younger. There are some depending on how many guys get signed back. Of course, it's early yet, but there, this could be a very promising unrestricted free agent class this next upcoming year, just like this year was.
Yeah, I'm sure
older
a lot of guys
players. A lot of players are older players, though. I've noticed.
Yeah. Also, something Jake Virtanen, you remember he had that sexual assault case in Vancouver, and he was cut loose by Vancouver, by the Canucks. He was cleared of that yesterday.
Jake Virtanen, why is that name ringing a bell?
He was with the Vancouver Canucks, and he had an issue with, alleged sexual assault, and it went to court, and he won.
Okay, he played in the KHL. He was a guy who never really put up a lot of points. He was that the name sounds familiar. He was a 6th overall pick back in 2014. He's 25 years old. I wonder if the Islanders take a role on a guy like that.
Why not? See, that's what I mean. If I'm willing to take a chance on somebody, that's a guy. Okay, here's a 1-year prove it deal. Show me what you can do.
Just like Evander Kane got that 1-year prove it deal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't say it didn't pan out for Edmonton.
Yep. And I mean, it might not pan out. I mean, so you know what? Roll a dice. I mean, nothing wrong with that.
Cigar Grumpy.
Barry had a bug up his ass with the young kids, except for Dobson. Here's the thing. He had his bug up his ass for Dobson as well before December.
SB's got a comment, Grump.
Why would we sign Klingberg? We already have our top 4. We only need a guy to play with Mayfield. Bottom 6, Salo. Signing Klingberg would be absolutely pointless. It's true. It doesn't work. Doug R says, I was just pointing out to James that he is an unrestricted free agent. No need to trade. Brian Jennings, very pensive, says, is there going to be any wingers added to this lackluster lineup? A possible scoring winger? I'm going to say no.
Marv Williams has got an idea, Grumpy.
Bring in Yager.
You're very often on this show. Bring back Yager. Bring in Yager. Oh,
you know what? It's funny. If Jaromir Yager had a kid who was really good at hockey, if he could almost be ready to retire. His son could be like 32 years old.
His son would be at least in his 20s.
Yeah.
Got a comment here from Goon Grumpy for you.
Grumpy, you said the Islanders ownership are cheap mothers. I never said that. But the Islanders built the dynasty almost entirely via drafting without signing any free agents, a different time and era. Yes. Back in the from when the organization started under Roy Bowe, I never said they were cheap. I didn't say that. Charles Wang wouldn't spend any money, but I don't think that they're cheap. Everything was drafted and through trades. There was no such thing as free agency, and player contracts were not exorbitant. That's very recent.
Apex Legends, I'm not sure what it means, but he says these chickens ain't loyal.
Chickens ain't loyal.
Brian J says, gotta give Bellows a shot. I mean, come on. Toby O'Connor says, get rid of Bailey and Martin. Play Bellows in Johnston. SB said, Nelson with a Hattie in the Beauty League tonight. Doug R said, any idea how season tickets are going? Has to be down. I'm sure it is. SB said, and we'll get an update here soon, I'm sure. And when you're at the games, you'll see all those empty seats. You'll get an update. Like, wow, it looks like there are a lot of seats down in the low area that are empty. SB said, one guy going around the Islanders rumor mill for a potential trade partner is San Jose Sharks' Timo Meier. I'd be very open to trading for him.
Yeah, but he's gonna actually, you're gonna have to pay to get him. I'm not trading away first-round draft picks or even second rounders. No. I'm not. The days of trading draft picks for me are over, just freaking over.
He's young. He's 26 years old. So it's not like you're trading for a guy who's ancient or anything like that, Grump.
Yeah, but I'm not giving away a first-round draft pick for him. We have so many old guys on this team. We cannot be offloading first-round draft picks.
Bob Sonistan says Klimberg brings an offensive defenseman. Pair with Pulak, Dobson with Pellick, and Romanoff with Mayfield. I'm just thinking.
Okay. You gave up a first-round draft pick.
You a little tired there, Grumpy.
You gave up a first-round draft pick for a third pairing defenseman? No. There's no reason. Okay. First of all, Klingberg's going to want money.
Yeah.
He's going back to Dallas. He's going back to Dallas. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, we're not signing him for a bottom pairing guy.
Well, he said make Romanov a bottom pairing guy.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. We're not making Romanoff a bottom pairing guy, and we're not signing Klimberg to be a bottom pairing guy.
True.
You're right. You don't trade up the 13th overall pick for a bottom pairing defenseman. Marv W said, what about Ross the Boss Johnston?
He's the boss.
We kind of know what we got in him. I
mean, I just don't understand the fascination. He never plays.
And we signed him to a 2-year extension when Lou got here.
No,
and then we signed him.
No, this is his second straight 4-year contract extension. He signed a 4-year contract extension as soon as Lou got here at $1 million per. Now we just signed last year another 4-year extension at 1.5 per. And I don't think he's played 80 games in the 5 years he's been here. I mean, at some point in time, you're either going to play him or you're not. Why do you sign him to that type of term? And I mean, the money's not great, but how many fourth line grinders do you need?
In the last 4 seasons, he's just played slightly up. He's played less than 100, but slightly more than 80. So between that 80 to 100 game range, averaging about 8 minutes of ice time a night. Last year, he did average 10 minutes and 16 seconds of ice time, Grumpy.
Now, here's the thing. I know Ross Johnson wants to play, but what he has, that's a pretty good gig if you can get it, right?
Yeah, Grumpy. Bellows belongs in the top 6, says Toby O'Connor. Also says Parise 38. Let him sit more.
Or play him on the fourth line.
Let's not Josh Ho-Sang. Bellows, says Doug R. Pellick and Pulak would still be top 4. Now, I do like Timo Meier, says Bob Sonistan. I do too.
Yeah.
That's just going to be a lot. You're going to give up a lot for a guy like that. Oops. Drew L said, did you guys see who the Islanders signed today? Yeah, me neither. Good gracious. Rob G says, hello, fellas. Let's pray. I was about to say, we need to do some praying. And then Matthew C said, Mad Max. Who the hell's Mad Max? What am I missing?
Maybe it was Max on the
Max Scherzer.
Oh,
he's pitching tonight.
Do you know who Mad Max is? The real Mad Max?
Yeah, the movie. I got it.
Who was Mad Max? Who was a character?
Oh my God. I don't know and I don't care. Rob G says, go Islanders. Want you to sigh, says, so Chara is gone. You want Bellows or Parise taking Martin's spot? We can continue scratching Ross Johnson. Do you really want zero toughness on the ice every night?
You know, that's a good point, but really toughness, what does it even matter in today's NHL?
That's right. That's what Cal Clutterbuck's supposed to be there for, is that toughness factor.
No,
if you can't put the bill on that, why are you on the fourth line?
He's an agitator. He's not a tough guy. But I mean, here's the thing. Parise, Cizikas, and Clutterbuck, I could live with that as a fourth line.
Most teams don't fight and don't have toughness on their roster.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say there's a guy on Colorado who's like, oh man, this guy for the regular season, this guy's a bruiser, this guy's going to fight. I wouldn't say there's a lot of players. I mean, like on Florida, I wouldn't say there was a player who said, oh yeah, man, this guy's our bruiser, this guy's our fighter. Same thing with Toronto. I don't see a lot of guys who have like, this is our Brian Boyle. This is our Zdeno Chara. You don't see too many of those in the league like that anymore. Nick D says, why does Barzal always have to switch positions? Kadri should switch. This is Barzal's team. Treat him like it.
True.
Tony O'Connor, Grumpy.
Barzal will get more points when he has a player that can skate fast and keep up with him. That's my whole thing.
W. Connor also says, give Dobson an 8-year, $5.5 million per deal. If you don't have a guy like Kadri, you're not bringing him in. I would love to do that. Lock Dobson up long term.
What they should do is lock up Barzal and Dobson long
Gotcha.
ball.
Sal P says, I think we need 30 goals out of Barzal. He needs to show the hockey world that Barry was shackling his talent. I hope so.
He's going to have to be able to play with somebody, though.
Goon Goon, Grumpy Old Man says, TJ Grump, what's the greatest invention ever? The toilet, the shower, the automobile, air conditioning, or the microwave?
Electricity is the greatest invention ever. Because if you look at it,
we're only given so many items to pick from. If I'm picking the items here, let's say the automobile.
No, I'd say the toilet.
Grumpy, the
You ever try crapping in an outhouse? I have.
It's not the end of the world.
Okay. Is that something you want to do like on a cold night? Especially for you, TJ, especially for you doing the podcast. Well, nope. I got to walk, 100 foot from the house and do whatever with a foot.
Anyway, it doesn't bother Grumpy. It's easy for guys. That being said, you would rather, okay, Grumpy, how often I know you don't leave the house ever, but having an automobile to get places, I mean, if you were going 2 miles down the road, it's like, okay, let me allocate here 30 minutes each way to go 2 miles down the road. Because I assume you're not jogging or running if you're going 4 miles an hour. If you're trying to go a place, let's say 5 miles down the road, to try to get to the pizza shop or something like that, Grumpy, you might as well be allocating the entire day. The automobile.
No. Not the automobile.
The automobile. I need to see people spamming the comments with automobile right now, Grump.
Okay. What about a motorcycle? That's not an automobile.
A motorcycle is an automobile, Grumpy.
Okay. Well, then you can have horses with a horse-drawn carriage.
Go back to the horse carriage day. We don't need.
What do you think they did before automobiles?
Dude,
that's what they did.
All he did was have to piss outside. Are you kidding me? I'd rather have the automobile than pissing outside.
Try taking a dump when it's 10 degrees below and have to walk out there.
That'd be fine.
What happens, TJ, if you got like a drunk on, like you do sometimes?
A drunk on? What the hell is a drunk on?
And then you got to stumble out to the outside.
Sounds kind of like you're drunk right now, Grump.
Probably, first of all, you'd be one of those guys who falls into the outhouse, into the toilet. Toilet.
Why do you
keep it simple.
It's automobile.
Keep it simple.
It's automobile. Please stop. It's the automobile.
You're dreaming. That's like the least.
Maybe the air conditioning is the automobile.
I'm going to tell you what.
Microwave.
I'm going to give you an order. I would say in order: toilet first, shower second.
Oh Jesus! Come on.
Then I'm going to go.
You bastard! I know you're going to try to find a way. You're going to try to find a way to put automobile last.
Microwave, automobile last.
Yeah. Okay. Automobile is number 1. Toilets number 2. Showers number 3. AC number 4. Microwave number 5.
Yeah, microwave's number 5.
Yeah, I don't care. I could eat cold food. I'm fine with it.
And you can live without air conditioning.
I just sweat my ass off. That's fine. But hey, you used to have baths. You didn't need to shower. You could just bathe yourself. You didn't need a shower. But toilet, dude, that's bottom of the dude. Toilet's number 2. Having a moving vehicle, you put that. Get the hell out of here.
No,
bro. Anyway,
toilet first, shower second, automobile third.
SP said, I'm predicting 75 points for Matt Barzal, 59 for Noah Dobson, 27 goals for Oliver Wahlstrom.
That would be a very successful season for us.
Oh, Matthew said, Max, sit down, Aaron Judge. Sit down, Judge Grumpy. Sit down, Aaron Judge.
I'm just going to give you a little hint that the Mets won.
Yeah! Let's go, Mets. I wasn't even sure that's the case, but that's what I like to hear. Scott L said, saw on Twitter the Islanders might be interested in Klimberg. I don't see that. It makes we talk about those crazy things you see on Twitter. That's one I don't think that has much merit to it. Jeff S said, I expect more goals this year from Pulock in his shot. Last 2 years, he's been hurt. Pulock needs to take a step up in his offensive game. He needs to put up at least 15 goals with a shot.
I would not expect that.
I remember 2 years ago, I thought Ryan Pulock was going to put up 20 goals. That was my bold prediction for the year. I was way off on that. I don't even think the last 2 years put together, he's put up 20 goals. No. So anyway, I think that was actually when we did season predictions. That was when we first started the show, or like one of the first few years. That was like the first full year of starting the show. We did season predictions during the COVID year, before COVID. So 2019, 2020 year. And I thought Pulock might hit 20 goals. Yep. I was off on that one. Doug R said, need Lou working to bring JT Miller here. Not much else makes sense.
Now, he works with Matt Barzal. Absolutely. That's a nice pairing right there. But what do you have to give up to get him?
SP's got a comment for you, Grump.
I'm not giving anything more to Beauvillier, Saleh, and a second rounder for Miller. Like Beauvillier, I would do that.
Would Vancouver?
If he must probably already told Vancouver that he's not signing back with them.
I have to assume because they're not willing to allow teams to negotiate with him. I have to assume the asking price is so ridiculous that Vancouver has no interest and they don't want other teams to know. But I mean, like, do you think the other teams are stupid beyond all belief, Grumpy, to where they're not going to be like, oh, you're not letting us negotiate ahead of time? Let me dig a little deeper and see why that is.
And like I said, maybe Miller said there's no way I'm coming back. Or maybe he's like, I'm hitting free agency.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing. I mean, he's like, I want to cash in. Now, I will say JT Miller is pretty good. I mean, he had a great year last year, and he would fit with Matt Barzal.
Got a lot of comments, Grumpy. So many Geo rapid fire like you did that one time.
Okay, Jeff Sobel says, we definitely need a huge offensive year from Barzal. 100% agree. Steven Siebert says, reverse retro idea. Islanders retro RR jersey.
Reverse retro.
Reverse. Oh, all right, calm down, sunshine. Should be the 90s fisherman logo, but it combines the fish sticks and the lighthouse logos together. Primary color will be black with shades of navy and white. I actually heard rumor is that they are going to be bringing back the fisherman jersey, but it's going to be that like 1993 color that they used as last year's retro jersey, which everyone knew was not going to sell. They probably have a shitload of those left. So like, we'll just slap the fisherman logo on there because we have so many of these because Lou messed up on that too, thinking that ridiculous retro jersey, which is exactly the same jersey with just a different color, would sell. So yes, I'm all for that. And I would actually get one without a doubt.
Here's the thing. I did see it. I do not.
We got a lot of comments. We got a lot of comments to get through.
Your bastard ass just pontificated on that shit for a while. So give me a second as I pull it up. So this is kind of what it's going to look like. That type of color on the background and that type of logo. Man, it should be a lighter logo with that. It should be a lighter jersey with that type of logo and that color for the logo.
Or an orange. How about an orange jersey?
The retro jerseys can be like that, pastel, like San Diego Charger uniform of past. And like that lighter color uniform. You could do that with something like, even if it's not 100% what your retro is, it's just designed to sell jerseys. I know people freaking hate, oh, don't bring the fisherman back. I hate the fisherman jerseys. Man, it's just there to sell jerseys. Nobody's going to buy the same thing with just a different freaking color, the same freaking logo. Ours is the blandest, shittiest reverse retro last year. I'm happy they've got the fisherman. I'm happy. Embrace it. Yes. And if you hate it, you could talk about how much you freaking hate it. And there's going to be so many young fans who aren't even aware of all the miserableness that happened back in the 90s and just say, wow, this is a cool design. I can't believe they only used this uniform for 1 year.
True.
Got a comment here from Frank.
Hey, fellas. Hello, TJ and the Grumpmeister. Hey, Frank.
Absolutely, Frank. Steven also has another comment here.
Also, the numbers will be...
We'll have the shapes and curves of the fisherman hook for every number, and at the hook at the end. I like that one. And the numbers depending on the position of the player. I like that, Steven. Embrace the fisherman. Goon Grumpy.
If the Mets didn't share the same stage as the Yankees, do you think they would be taken more seriously? Well, the Mets think that they're a minor league franchise.
Well, they don't anymore, but prior ownership did.
Yeah, they had a shot to go after Juan Soto or Josh Bell, and they decided to go after the the silverback gorilla, Daniel Vogelberg or whatever, Vogelback.
Yeah, he's huge.
Doug R says odds at the Islanders pick 14th out of 32 to win the cup. I think that's a bit high, very high. There's no way to win the cup.
James F said Aaron Judge struck out 3 times tonight.
There you go.
What's with the echo, Grumpy? Did you have echo on your end? Is there still an echo?
No, it was probably something you did.
Bullshit. Apex Legend says Bellows could pop 30 goals playing with Matt Barzal. He has a nasty shot.
I don't know if he'd have 30, but I bet he'd have 20.
Frank says no more trades, no more shortcuts. That doesn't work. Look at all the teams that make trades at the deadline. Did any of them really help? No. Rangers gave up a first and a second for Cobb.
True.
It's not wrong, Grumpy. Sell.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Says, yeah, Yankees. Torres Day. Glaber Day.
That's
Toby
kind of
O'Connor
cute.
says next year's draft is stacked for certain. It is. SP said, I agree, Grumpy. Have zero confidence that we can compete, and staying mediocre does nothing for us. We're only delaying the inevitable. It's time to retool.
There you go.
Grumpy, here you go.
TJ, I think you're being short-sighted and stupid by saying that.
Hold on. You didn't say and stupid, Grump. Read the comment the way it's written.
Okay. TJ, I think you're being an ignoramus by saying we should hope to get the inevitable out of the way early. Do you honestly think we can compete? Our offensive group is an embarrassment.
Doug R says the most important item now is to make sure that Sorokin get back into the States. I'm not worried about that. I think he comes back no issue.
Yeah, I do too.
Everlast says, hey, what's up, Everlast? How are you? Everlast, the Colorado Avalanche. Frank also says, our defense is nasty. Goaltending, too. We can compete for a playoff spot. Maybe not the cup, though.
True. I think we have a shot to compete for a playoff spot.
Everlast also says, I'm done with wondering where Nazem Kadri will go. I'll tell you this much. Even if you don't get Kadri back, I think JT Compher, if Colorado wants him back, they liked what he's produced, get rid of a guy like JT Compher. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent next year anyway, and go ahead and sign back Nazem Kadri. You'll have the cap space to do so, and you don't have to worry about an unknown entity picking up that top six line.
True.
Or top six forward. Got a comment from Toby O'Connor, Grumpy.
Don't sign anyone, play with house money, and if we're out of the playoff race, we have a fire sale at the deadline. 100% agree.
Frank Grumpy's got a comment.
Yeah, hopefully not to the Islanders. He did so with your team, the Avs. They should make it work. They're talking about Kadri.
And how the hell is Kadri here a great fit? Stop it.
Stop.
David Sean McDonald, Grumpy.
Absolutely no on Kadri. As we know, we need to work on signing Barzal, and that's it. We have no moves to make that are worth the overpay. We need to ride this season on, boys.
And I got a comment from SP.
Yet another example of people blindly praising Lou Lamoriello for literally doing nothing. It's hilarious. Lou is radio silent and does nothing, and the shills praise him for his craftiness. Exactly.
Yep. Never seen a guy build a rep off of what happened 20 plus years ago as well as he has. David D's got a comment.
Hey, guys. I would not give more than 5 years, $6 million to Nazem Kadri. I'd take him any day over Josh Bailey. At least Kadri shoots the darn puck. 100% agree. But again, he's going to be 32. What's going on over there, TJ?
I don't know. This thing is like, I'm playing around with this like putty thing. It's sticky and I can't get what I don't know.
What are you doing playing with putty?
I don't know, Grumpy. It's been allowing me to kind of zone out a little bit as you've been droning through comments. I know I shouldn't say that, but I am. Frank says,
this team will play a lot better with Trotsky. Be patient. And Lou has to go. He is inept. Agree.
He also says,
Frank also says, yeah, like someone said earlier with all these snow guys, Lou made a couple of moves, overpaid. Let Taves go. F him. Fire him tomorrow. 100% agree.
If we sign Kadri, then Beauvillier definitely is out. I heard that he was told, right, he's not going to be shopped. He expects to be back, is at least what he believes. Anything could change, but this is an organization and a general manager built on his word. Everlast says, yep, TJ, we're gonna have to give up a lot to re-sign him. Gerard would need to go, and maybe Jack Johnson. I don't know. I think maybe if you move a guy like JT Compher, that should be all that's required. I don't think you want to move a guy like Gerard. I know they talk about the depth they have.
Gerard didn't play in the playoffs, right?
Was he injured?
The Byron kid, yeah, he was, and the Byron kid filled in more than admirably.
Okay,
he's on a rookie deal.
I understand, but if you have, you got a position of strength like that. You don't want to be bent over the barrel trying to go ahead and deal somebody away, if you know what I'm saying, Grump.
Okay.
What are you looking at over there, Grumpy? What are you doing over there? We're in rapid fire comments. And what are you doing? You're getting distracted, Grump.
Let's go. Let's rapid fire the comments then.
Yeah. Stop reading those text messages, Grumpy. I don't know. You're getting text by this. Is this Grumpy? Do we need to let the word know?
Andrew Benintendi was just traded to the Yankees.
Oh, okay. From the Kansas City Royals.
For 3 prospects.
Okay.
I guess that means they're out on Juan Soto also.
Well, they're not making a bad mistake there. Frank says, yeah, Labor Day, baby. Surprised they took out Max Scherzer. Grumpy, another comment here from Goon Goon.
Grumpy, which 1980s movie theme is the winner? I'm All Right by Kenny Loggins, Flash's theme by Queen, and by special request, if you can sing Flash, I like I'm All Right.
It would be inspirational, Grumpy, if you can say Flash. Savior of the universe. Grumpy, you need to sing that song. Let's go, Grumpy.
I don't like that song.
What do you mean you don't like that song?
I don't like that song.
What do you mean you don't like that song? I like that song. What's wrong with you, huh?
Sing it.
You sing it, Grumpy. That was requested by you. It says,
go ahead. I'm interested in hearing you sing it. Go.
Grumpy, I'm interested in hearing you sing it.
Next.
I'd like to hear you sing Barracuda. Grump, can you sing that one for me?
Can't. If Barracuda gives me a headache, I'm getting one now.
That is bullshit. You've always told me that even since that's the biggest load of shit I've ever heard.
No.
Okay. You always used to say that when we were young.
It gives me a headache.
Playing Guitar Hero, and you would say, don't play that song. It gives me a headache.
Gives me a headache.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, it doesn't.
Barracuda better than me. Give you a headache. That is the biggest load of BS I've ever heard. Everlast said, either way, wherever he goes, somebody's going to have to give up an arm and a leg to sign him. Exactly. That's the thing that worries me. Christopher C. said, Grumpy, what do you think? I predict we'll finish 7th in the division, sadly. The Jackets and Devils have improved, and the Flyers are rebuilding.
The Blue Jackets worry me a little bit. I was going to say 5. I'm thinking 5th. We're going to come in 5th.
Okay. James F. said, I didn't know the show 30 for 30 was all about the New York Islanders.
I don't know about that.
Okay. Everlast said, when Nazem Kadri was out for the rest of the playoffs in 2021, we lost to the Knights. The difference was Kadri absent and really showed. He is an amazing player, but too high of a price. Tony Cheese said he's going to look at a clip. That's what I'm talking about, Tony Cheese. That's what I'm talking about, the legend, Tony Cheese. I love it. Anybody who's willing to clip stuff for us because I'm unbelievably lazy, that makes me a happy guy. Thank you, Tony Cheese. Unpaid intern, glorious Tony Cheese. Look at him, Grumpy. Look at Tony Cheese.
I see it. Everlast says, no, he wasn't the number one center with the Leafs. Like I told you, he was not. Frank says, yeah, Kadri is great for your team. Fits like a missing puzzle piece in the Islanders. He won't work half as good. Correct. Everlast says, oh, yeah. I agree with you guys in regard to the Islanders. Need to get young talent. Johnny Hockey would have been great in your colors. He would have been.
Absolutely. Surprised he went to Columbus, as am I. Don't smoke crack, says this Kaz silence, or this silence has me worried.
This Kaz silence has me worried. Yeah.
Kadri silence, yeah. Jake K says,
hello, fellas from San Diego. Love listening on to the show as always. Hello, Jake. Always a pleasure. Also known as Lou from the landline.
Lou from the landline. Or he knows Lou from the landline, Grumpy. He's not Lou from he knows Lou from the landline personally. Okay. Everlast says, yeah, close to the family as well. Yeah, they were talking about apparently his wife had taken a job at the Children's Hospital in Columbus. That was a major reason. But I heard she was looking to take a job in Philly, too. So she was looking in certain areas. They wanted to move back out east, is for what I had gathered. David D says here, Nazem Kadri is going to tell Lou Anders Lee got 7 years for $7 million per. Why not me? And Lou's going to say, thumbs up. Okay. Oh, man. Yeah. Frank says, me too. The Kadri being quiet tells me that Lou is signed him or planning on signing him. Show people that he's not useless when he really is. Lou's 80 years old. Retire. You're hurting the team. Come on, man.
He's hurting the sport of hockey now.
Looks like Soto. Look at Soto had turned Soto in the deal he turned down. LOL.
Well, he's going to get way more than that.
Yeah, maybe.
And he won't sign for 12 years either. It'll be less.
No, Bennington. He was redirected into Bennington. I can't remember what the hell happened. I do remember the collision. You got to dumb the turn crazy down to a $14 million a year deal. That's so much money. I don't know. It's nuts. Yeah, the Nats were going to pay him a huge amount. Yeah, I do recall that. The craziest part is he mentioned too, the Nationals didn't find him a way home. So
we talked about that
on TJ the
Grumpy Old Man show.
We talked about how he didn't want to sign the extension. So when he was coming back home from the home run derby, They did not charter him a flight home, and they tried to find one in Atlanta, but they said nope. Atlanta couldn't find a spot for him on the plane, and so Juan Soto had to fly coach back home to Washington.
Yeah.
Before their upcoming series against the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah.
Pac-Man says, I'm amazed that Kadri and Klingberg aren't signed yet. Those type of players are usually signed within the first 48 hours of free agency.
Very true.
Freethinker14 says, Lou, I think the Band-Aids can fix gushing wounds. Lamarillo. I like that one. JK said a losing record, attendance in season membership concerns, a possible fisherman jersey, and a general manager that hails from New England making questionable moves. These are the Islanders that I'm used to.
Very true.
Oh, Landline. Did he just throw back? Did he just do a little throwback to the Milbury?
He did a historical reference on the Islanders history.
He did a callback. Oh my God. Yes, SEC. Dan L says Kate Smith.
Kate Smith. She sang God Bless America, not the national anthem.
Everlast said just a scratch, not a flesh wound. While blood rushes out, Lamar.
Be a flesh wound.
Just a mere fresh room. David Sean McDonald says, how about 93 against the Penguins, Grump?
Yeah, that was good too. But to me, it was the first Stanley Cup year and the last one.
Brian J said some clown just claimed there was JT Miller for Dobson. Top Shelf Hockey YouTube channel. Host disagreed. Vancouver media claimed it. It's so dumb. Okay, so yeah, nothing to worry about, fans. Nothing to worry about listening.
22-year-old burgeoning defenseman for a 29-year-old forward who just had a career year. Okay,
and is on a contract season.
Yeah,
that's gonna get you less back in return. Talking about biggest wins in Islanders history, how about comeback in Game 5 versus the Penguins in 1982?
I think we were talking about series. It was a series thing.
Pac-Man said the 0-2 loss to the Leafs was brutal. Everybody talks about Tucker's hit on Pekka, but Gary Roberts' hit on Kenny Janssen was absolutely brutal. Knocked him out cold. Dirtiest hit I've ever seen on an Islander.
Not true. The 1993 Dale Hunter on Pierre Turgeon hit was the dirtiest hit ever. The play was over. He was skating away, and Dale Hunter torpedoed him, as well as the Islanders' hopes to win a Stanley Cup in 1993.
Hey, I think it was it Rob Shrimp or was it Rich Pallon that said, oh no, Rob Shrimp said he knows Dale Hunter personally. He said he claims to this day he never heard the whistle. Not sure I believe that one. I'm not sure even Rob Shrimp believed it. That hit on Kenny still gives me chills.
Yeah.
Oh man, we have one of these things. Watch somebody give Kadri $8.5 million a year deal, or an 8-year deal, or $8.5 million a year deal. My God, that would be bad.
I cannot imagine that.
Lou somehow got General Man of the Year by signing third line players. Yeah. Oof. Matthew C said Aaron Judge 0 for 5. LOL. What's the moderator when you need to delete these spam comments? Everlast. That's one of those things I've been working on, but never have gotten around because I'm too freaking lazy. I know I need to get moderators, and Drell's volunteered. I know I need to work on it.
Yeah, we've had volunteers, and TJ can't hook them up.
I take blame. I take blame for this lapse in the show. I take blame.
Failure.
SP said, interesting rebrand for the boys. Oh, good gracious. Yeah, those bots. Someone was bribed for Lou to win those General Manager of the Year.
Who bribed him?
No fixed sticks jersey, please, says Matthew.
It's just a retro jersey. It's just a retro jersey.
Maybe we can put a good taste in the mouth of the fish stick jersey. How about this? If the Islanders play, let's say hypothetically, 7 games in a retro jersey, if they win all 7 games, will this change your opinion of the fish stick jersey?
It would for me.
We can only win with the fish stick on. Will that change the opinion? Peter A says, what are the chances that the Islanders actually nab or grab Patrick Kane?
0.
Very low. Very low. Nothing with him is going to get done until the trade deadline.
Unless you could trade Anders Lee for him.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Dan L says, I think the big question is if Kane would waive his no move clause to come here.
I think that he'll waive his no move clause, but not to come to the island.
Brian J said, busting chops about drinking frequently. Really, bro? Just saying. Go Grump. You do you.
Yeah. I forgot what we were talking. Oh, TJ, I think. Maybe we're talking about when you having to use the outhouse for throwing up.
That couldn't have been an hour. That couldn't have been an hour ago. SP said, "Who watched baseball?" It's like watching paint dry is more interesting.
Oh, sounds like the warden. She always says that.
Peter A said here, "Well, if Chicago's in rebuild mode, will they just want to stick it out there?" I loved Kane. I would love Kane for a 3 or 4 year deal after his contract expires this year.
Well,
I'd have him till he's about 37 years old.
The issue is they still have all these old guys still under contract for next year.
Insomniacs watch baseball games to fall asleep, says SP. Whoa!
Another slam. Formerly national pastime.
Oh, man. God, the Yankees pitching has been bad lately. What's the problem?
They remember who they were.
Everlast says anybody but the Astros, in my opinion. I like that one, too. I wonder if they're going to bring back the trash cans. Maybe that could be a retro jersey for the Houston Astros in a few years, trash cans. Anthony R. said another rumor floating around is that JT Miller and Matt Barzal, others involved, but main pieces. I hate the internet. I'm so sick and tired of this BS. Barzal is our franchise along with Dobson and Sorokin. Exactly. So I'm not putting much stock into these Matt Barzal's moving. He's being moved in a trade. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. We're not going to move a core piece of the team, I don't think. Not yet. They still believe this iteration of the team can win a cup. So they're not going to be moving a piece that's a cornerstone for a guy like JT Miller, I don't think.
Yeah, they're wrong, but yes, I agree.
Frank says Astros just got swept by the A's. Go figure. Oof. SP says here basketball is too high scoring. Football stops action every 5 seconds. Baseball is horribly boring. Soccer is just passing. Hockey's the perfect blend of everything. The only sport I follow. Hey man, I love hockey. I honestly love every single one of those sports. I like basketball. I like college basketball because I feel like the fans are more into it, the more insane. I love European soccer or European football. I love college football. The NFL is okay. Baseball, I can watch. Got a baseball game on, I can watch. I can watch any sport. My Little Brownie says, Grump, are you surprised Trotz hasn't found a new gig yet? Or does the league view him as not good for young teams?
He wanted to be a GM and head coach, and no one was going to give him both jobs. So that's why he's unemployed. They want him as coach, but not as GM.
Yeah. Matthew S. said here, Marte, Mets win. Yankees lose 3-2. Gungun says Judge played more like clerk tonight.
More like a clerk today. Instead of a judge, he played like a clerk, a lawyer.
Oh, shit. There it is. I screwed Gungun. This is why I'm having him read comments because I screwed up your comment. I apologize. Yankees lose, says Andrew L. Everlast says, yep, I agree. Hockey is a sport. Brett W says, wasn't Howie Rose with the Mets before the Islanders? Yes. And then he went back to the Mets. Alexander says, hey, guys, how are both of you? Marte with the walk-off. The Mets run New York, says Alexander.
The Mets played the Yankees very well because they have a good pitching staff.
Peter A said, I'd like to know what they were thinking when they didn't get in on Fiala and some of the early free agents went cheap. Yeah.
Their thinking was they needed to fix the defense first. And I understand that, and I kind of agree with it. They should have been all in for Gaudreau. I would have offered Gaudreau $10 million a year.
Michael T said, wait, what? We're trading Matt Barzal? Don't buy into that. I think a lot of people are pontificating, hey, if we don't sign him to here's the thing. If we don't sign him to a long-term deal, he's not willing to sign to a long-term deal, I could see us trading him next offseason for certain. I really could, because this is a guy, the qualifying offer would be a $10 million a year contract. I don't see us paying him, giving him a qualifying offer for 1 year for $10 million. I don't see that. I see the Islanders want to lock him down long-term. If he's not willing to sign long-term, I could see us very, very heavily looking to move him. So I think this is just us, people trying to look ahead. The Yankees should have walked it off. I should have walked Marte. Michael T said, oh, yeah. Hey, good evening, gentlemen. How about those Mets? Oh, yeah. Nathan McKinnon, a free agent next year. I'm so worried about that. They'll find a way to sign McKinnon back. That guy is a special man. They're going to sign him back. I wouldn't worry about that Everlast. Michael T said, are we getting Calvin DeHaan?
I think it's a smart investment, though, to get him as a bottom pairing defenseman to split time with Robin Salo. I think it's perfect.
Michael T said, Aaron Judge tonight. All sit down. Everlast said Elias Pettersson would be good. Yeah, I'm just not sure what it would be worth. What would come back to us. Anthony R says, no to Barzal to Vancouver for anybody there. If I'm dealing Barzal, I'm trading him to Seattle.
Okay. Why would Seattle trade him? He's going to be unrestricted free agent in 2 years.
Trade for him.
Yeah,
Why would they trade? Why would Seattle trade for Matt Barzal?
Yeah.
Because he's going to help put fannies in a seat? Because he's going to help them win games?
I think
they not want a guy young like that.
People are still showing up. I could see them, signing him as a free agent in 2 years.
Okay, Jesus Christ. You think he's going to get unrestricted free agency? That's cute.
If he gets unrestricted free agent.
Grumpy, why are you not paying attention? You're getting distracted over here, so your ideas are shit. I need you to pay attention, Grump. You're half paying attention, Grumpy. You're trying to get through this, and you're giving me crappy ideas. You think he's going to make unrestricted free agency?
Oh, my God. He could.
What makes you say that? What makes you say that he's going to walk as an unrestricted free agent, Matt Barzal?
He could. What do they have? They're not going to trade us young guys or draft picks for him. Why would they do that? They're not close to contending.
He's a young player. How many? Again, they're not going to trade it this year first, but I could see if something doesn't happen next year, I could see them trading for a guy like that. I could.
Okay.
Everlast said, "Come on, Grump. There are worse teams." And he also says, Dry is one tough dude. How many times was he limping and still fought like hell in that Oilers and Avalanche series? Were you talking poorly about Draisaitl?
No, I think he's good. I think he's really good.
John McIsaac said here, going to be sweet seeing Kadri with the Islanders raising the cup while JT is home in his Leafs pajamas. And Michael T said, do players around the league like Matt Barzal? I mean, is his personality well received? Maybe he's the cause. Maybe he's the reason why we can't get players to come play with him. Seriously.
All he wants to do is win.
I don't think it's a Matt Barzal thing. The reason we can't get players here, we haven't been able to get free agents here or this team for years and years and years and years and years.
True.
What are you looking at, Grumpy? What are you doing? Give the Andrew attendance hold for the next 10 minutes.
Why don't you let me read the comments?
Well, God damn it. Then stop looking at somewhere else, Grumpy. Start reading.
New GM will solve all these problems you guys have. 100% agree. Kane is great, but he's getting up there in age. Another 100% agree. Yeah, Kirby. LOL, that trade. Jake said, I believe he was. He definitely called Ranger games prior to joining us. Stastny replacing for Kadri on the Avs. Interesting. Think about it. I've heard that also. Very cheap replacement. Frank says, yeah, these rumors for trading it for another defenseman, really, Salo is good enough for the third line. They should focus on offense. True. Josh Meyer says, only problem looking at next year's free agents is that 85% of them or more will not get to free agency. Also true.
Yep. Yeah, that's a big thing about it.
Frank says, yeah, that was BS being benched for the lacrosse goal. WTF, Trot's afraid of the future, are you? You shouldn't be afraid of anything now. Michael T says, why are we looking forward to being let down on next year's UFAs? Very true. Michael T also said, we're so desperate to sign someone, we're looking at Klingberg. LOL. That's not happening. Come on, people.
What's up, Frank? He says, Daniel's got a comment too.
Yes, Grump. The contract for Ross and the way we use him makes no sense. Even the baby, he knows. He knows. Look at him.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Jennings once again says, I think we need to give Barzal the green light. Then after this season, decide whether he's the guy to build around. If not, let's begin the retool. Stop being indecisive. Tavares' era was with second-rate wingers, didn't work, won't work now. Do right by Barzal or let him go. That's my opinion. Absolutely. And I think that Matt Barzal also says, you know what? You're going to have to get me somebody to play with or I'm not signing back here. Brett Werner says they should never re-sign Martin. Johnson makes him unnecessary. Very true. Guy Megs millions, $1 billion. Hey, I'm gonna play.
Guys, the Mega Million is worth $1 billion.
If I win, I'll give Lou some of it to help this team win. If I win, I'm not giving anybody anything. Yankees just got Benintendi, says Andrew L. Bellows isn't a fourth wing grinder. Correct. He's not.
Grumpy, every time you say something, go, I just noticed that.
Michael T said Romanoff is tough. He throws the body.
He does. Got another comment.
Frank says, no trades or signings. Stop the madness. We have 4 potential studs, Barzal, Pavillier, Wally, and Bellows. They will all rise with the coach, and the young player killer is gone.
Watch another comment here.
Want you to sign, says, I'm not talking about a lot of tough guys. I'm talking about one. I think you guys are wrong. When a team feels confident to play physical, it's an advantage. Look what the Rangers did last year. I think the Rangers had a lot of talent. I'm not saying that Reeves didn't help.
I think you need to have a tough guy out there on the ice, but somebody needs to serve that role. It's not like you need to have a million of them. We had way too many guys who filled that role last year. Martin's finished. Martin's not a tough guy. When the hell was the last time Martin won a fight? And I'm like, okay, I could see maybe a guy like Ross Johnson. I have no problem with Ross Johnson alternating in and out of the lineup when need be, but that's not a guy I need in there every night.
True. Want you to sigh,
says here. I've seen the Islanders shrink up, and they played when they play a strong and physical team. And then he says, when they don't feel something, has their back. Gotcha. Andrew L said microwave is number 1 for TJ. Can't live without those bunless hot dogs. I use a stove top. Thank you very much, Andrew L. You see what I mean, Grumpy? When you start reading comments all the time, it's easy to start slipping up on the words. Don't worry. A real true professional like myself will read through the rest of these comments. As you could sit there playing on your phone, finding out what Andrew Penitendi went to, texting everybody. You get back to that. All right, Grumpy? Frank says the Islanders kind of invented playing tough. Where do you think the Rangers got that idea from, especially when Martin destroyed what's his name for the Rangers? And TJ doesn't want to admit the microwave. Michael T says Islanders are going to sign Shohei Ohtani. Yeah. Frank says I like the fisherman jersey and I'm older. James F said fisherman jerseys are just as bad as the third jersey for the Bengals. No,
the zebras. You mean the zebras?
Yeah, Nick D said, I'm with everyone else on this podcast. Let's just ride out this season. Don't sign to be hopefully retire at the end of this year, talking about for Lou. Great show as always, guys. Thank you, Nick. We always do appreciate it. And Grump is a good old-fashioned lover boy.
That's me.
Good gracious. Michael W says, Islander centers are strong. Goalies are strong. Defense is strong. The wings are a weakness. If you had to choose a preferred weakness out of the 4, it would be wingers.
True.
Yes, but I don't like them being as weak as they are. Larry M says here, Kadri's price is too inflated right now, too high for what he is really worth. He's more famous than talented.
He's good. I'm not saying he's not good. He just doesn't fit. We don't need another center. Not an old center like him.
Brett W said there is one episode for 30 for 30 on John Spano.
True.
There it is. What do you mean true? You didn't know that earlier when he mentioned it.
Well, I thought he said something dedicated. 30-30 was dedicated to the Islanders. I didn't know he's just talking about one episode.
SP said, Grump, what do you think about the horrendous MCU Phase 5 slate? The trailers for Shazam 2, Black Adam look great. Looks like DC sees Marvel floundering and are ready to pounce on the opportunity.
Yeah, I think that James Gunn is going over to work for DC, and that's a big advantage for them. Even Phase 4 for Marvel was miserable, and Phase 5 looks even worse, honestly.
Who is Shazam and Black Adam?
Shazam. You never see Shazam?
I don't watch. I assume these are silly superhero movies, right?
Yeah, Black Adam is The Rock plays Black Adam. I don't know how it's going to be. And Shazam, the original was good. The villain wasn't great, but I thought for younger kids, it was a good indoctrination into, the superhero world. I like Shazam.
Movies. Okay, Drew L said, I'll probably be live Thursday. I went bowling and figured out that the two-handed bowl would be the best asset.
And make sure you put up those little side bumpers too. Help.
Oh, good gracious. Brett W. also said, if Barzal isn't willing to sign long-term, they have to trade him. I agree. Drew L. said, my score went from like 150 once I started bowling with two hands. I swear on my life. There it is. Stephen S. said, thoughts on the Islanders Railroad being a black version of the Fisherman's 1990s jersey. The waves would be navy. The lighthouse logo would be combined with the Fisherman logo.
Yeah, I mean, I like.
I would. Could you imagine if they had like a black and white type jersey? I know, like they sometimes don't. They clash a little bit, but I could see that being an okay design. Grumpy.
Black and white.
Yeah, like some black and white. The contrast.
No. Black and white.
I'd be fine with that. Maybe as a fourth jersey. Maybe it's just like one of those concept items. Grumpy, I would be fine with just a normal. I would be fine with just a normal freaking Fisherman jersey.
Okay, Lou. If Lou is in charge of the jerseys. Guess what we got?
I hope they have some PR department in charge of those.
Guess what they got? They had a bunch of the old 1993 jerseys laying, or 2002 jerseys, whatever it was, laying around, and he just dug them up. Yeah, just slap the logo on this. That's his extent of that.
Christ almighty. Anyway, Goon says, TJ Grump, which are the best rock and roll concerts you've ever attended? Here's the thing. I know Grumpy's laughing for one reason. I do not like music like that. The only concerts I ever went to were with Grumpy, and Grumpy we'd go to Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, and then we would see Styx. I think, what was the one we saw like a few years ago, Grump? Like
Foreigner.
Foreigner.
With
all of those, I'm just like, my God.
The Jason Bonham Experience. And who else did
the Jason Bond Experience was not it was not a rock and roll concert. What are you talking about? That was that silly ass show that you took us to. No, that was the Mission Impossible one. Or is that, who's Jason Bond?
Jason Bonham. John Bonham, who was the drummer for Led Zeppelin. His son plays the drums, and they play Led Zeppelin tunes. They're pretty good. I saw them twice. And then a Whitesnake was the third act in that. That was the last concert TJ went to. I think the only other time I took him to a concert was to see Bruce Springsteen. And he was being a whingy little bitch the whole time.
Guess what? I don't need to see concerts. It's not something that interests me. I'm glad some people like them. I could just plop that shit in a CD at home if I really want to listen to it, or just go on the internet. I'm not a big concert guy. I'm not a fan of the atmosphere. Packing into a stadium to see somebody play a guitar and to sing, no interest to me.
Led Zeppelin was great for me. The Who, they came with the Clash and David Johansen. That was a really great show. U2 was good. Rush, man, Neil Peart was really good. Van Halen. I'd seen everybody. So, I mean.
Drew L said Yankees also got Andrew Benintendi. I'm screaming with joy. Frank said, yeah, great move by the Yankees. Bye K for Joey Gallo, but Coey Gallo, says Drew L. You gents should have Nicole Sherman on the show. It's impressive how much inside info she gets on that. She is. We reached out to a lot of people. We got a lot of other people to reach out to get everything set up. And I think Nicole will have on the show sometime next week, but we're getting everything X's and O's dates all lined up. So that's what we're working on here. Drew L said, speaking of Ross Johnston, you should see the tangent that Phil's Facts went on. He hates John. I know he hates Ross Johnston. Yeah. He also told me the reason they did that is because they signed that extension so they could put him on waivers and move him down to the A last year. And it makes him essentially waiver proof. This is such a genius move by Lou Lamoriello. I'm like, what?
They just didn't have to sign him. Just let him go.
Yeah, they don't use him. Anyway, Brett W says here, Ross Johnston is one of the toughest guys in the league. Why couldn't he play on the fourth line every night in Martin's place? He could. Here's the thing. I would rather a guy like Kiefer Bellows make his way into the lineup than a guy like Ross Johnston. You know what we have in Ross? Ross is a better option than Matt Martin. I still think there are better options out there. John P said, miss me, guys. It's been a while. What's up, John P? Distinguished gentleman, Grumpy on the show. Mr. John P.
Smartest guy.
SB's got a comment.
TJ, I know you're completely oblivious to most of pop culture, but have you at least watched the Lord of the Rings trilogy?
Yes, I've watched that. I've watched the Hobbit trilogy. I like that. I like those movies. I know Grumpy doesn't like the Hobbit. He shits on the Hobbit, but
I've never seen the Hobbit trilogy.
What's wrong with you? You've never seen the Hobbit?
Never.
Jesus, come on, Grumpy.
It was like a poor man's Lord of the Rings.
Okay, no, it's not a poor man's Lord of the Rings. It's the precursor to the Lord of the Rings.
I already saw Lord of the Rings. What do I want to go back?
Honestly, The Hobbit was really good. Michael T said the Islanders had the black and white Brooklyn third jersey. That's
it was horrid.
Oh, Crispy said, "Come on, Grumpy. I know you can't wait to watch a stunningly brave She-Hulk."
Ugh, don't make me puke.
Stephen S said, "Sorry for the same comment. I had left you guys and you answer the reverse retro question. Anyway, hope you guys have a good rest of your night, and hopefully the Islanders make the playoffs next season." Thank you, Stephen S. We appreciate it.
I bet he's rooting for the Packers too next year.
I would say. Michael T said, actually, the Islanders' black and white third jersey was 100th NHL season. Okay, there it is.
It was terrible.
Stephen S. also said, for clarification, the comment I had made earlier during the live stream, I hope that clears things up. Yeah, thank you, Stephen. Appreciate you stopping by. We talk about the Packers a little bit. We talk about Aaron Rodgers on our Thursday podcast, which is tomorrow. TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. We talk all things sports. Another shameless plug of the podcast. That's fine. I don't mind. Again, we talk anything NHL, NFL, NBA, college athletics. We talk anything and everything sports. That could be found in the link in the description below. It could be found on TJ and the Grumpy Old Man, or it could be found as a featured page on our YouTube channel, Grumpy Old Man. Here that is. Got a comment here from Michael T saying, "Hey Grump, did you ever see a concert at Jones Beach? That was my favorite venue."
I saw the Moody Blues, who played with the Fix. And it's a very good place to watch a concert.
State of Survival said, TJ, were you one of those Dungeons and Dragons kids? Magic at the Gathering. It's like you were locked up in a basement for your first 20 years. No, I never played any of those games either. I'm trying to think. I played athletics and I played video games, and that was about it. School, athletics, video games, none of that other stuff. But a lot of sports. But no, I didn't play any of those games. Steven also said, gotta say, I'm a Predators fan. I'm a big fan of the Fisherman logo and jersey. If only we went back to our inaugural season's jersey. You got to be happy, obviously, with what Nashville has done. You know, you look at this all season. They bring in a guy, like Ryan McDonough. They're active on the market, too, making the look additions to the team. Philip Tomasino coming in hard. One of the three amigos, Grumpy. Who doesn't forget the great Philip Tomasino, him taking a step forward in his career, re-signing back a guy like Philip Forsberg. It's crazy how quick Nashville is able to kind of go ahead and resurface and re-image the team in a matter of just a few short years.
Okay.
Who is Askarov? Is Askarov the goalie? I'm trying to remember. Askarov, the young goalie from Russia. The Yaroslav Askarov, I believe, is who it was. He was an early pick.
What was it? Wasn't it Soros?
No, UC Soros is their current goalie. Askarov was drafted by them a few years ago. He was like a top 10 pick, if I recall. Okay, I just got pulled up. He was 11th overall selection. Askarov plays for St. Petersburg, SKA in Russia, 20 years old. Askarov is a young goalie. That's right. I forgot. He's one of those guys after Soros is gone. He's there. He's going to be strong. He's going to be stout. Got an additional comment here from Gungun. Says, TJ, what is it that you drink out of your tumbler cup? Also, if you ask nicely, can I have a sip from your cup? Oh gosh, if I ask nicely, it's just water. This is usually full of water. Maybe I'll put like a little Crystal Light thing in it. It's nothing crazy. And Brett W says The Hobbit Z. Obviously, Grumpy has all of the taste when it comes to movies.
That's true.
Stephen S said, by the way, because my Milwaukee Admirals aren't an NHL team, like they were supposed to be back in 1992 when we built the Bradley Center in 1988. They were the farm team for the Predators, so that's why I'm a Predators fan.
Good for you. Good for you, Stephen.
Look at the history there behind that.
Absolutely.
That's crazy. John P said, Jones Beach, my favorite concert venue, and I've seen my share in my 59 years.
Yeah.
Stephen,
now you gotta be practically a millionaire to go see a concert.
Really?
Well, nobody new comes out because, let's be honest, they all suck. And the old bands play and their fans are all old. So like, well, hey, they got disposable income. We'll charge them at the Yang Yang to come to a show.
Oh, good gracious. Stephen S. said, that's my childhood dream ever since I was born in 2003 that the Admirals became an NHL team. Pecorine made me become a hockey fan back in 07. Made me play hockey from 2010 to 2021.
Wonderful. I tell you what, I like Steven. Steven, you got to keep on this show. Keep listening, and then listen to TJ and Grumpy Old Man show tomorrow.
Tomorrow, right? Grumpy?
9 o'clock-ish TJ time.
Oh, it's not 9 o'clock-ish. It'll be 9 o'clock. I promise you,
okay.
Grumpy. It'll be 9 o'clock. Come on, we know. It'll be 9 o'clock. No worries, Grumpy. Got another comment here from Steven says here, yeah, but I'm sad they never got Rene a Stanley Cup. He deserved it, but retiring his number was the second best thing they could have done for the guy. Best goalie, in my opinion. Guy was a brick wall in net.
He was really good for a long time.
And always you can find TJ and the Grumpy Old Man in the link in the description below, or as a featured page on our YouTube channel. Max P said, shit, guys, I'm late to the party. I hope you're all having an outstanding summer. Having a great summer, Max P. Hopefully you are as well. Yeah, Frank saying he was unreal talking about Pecorine. And State of Survival said, what did you guys think about the Hockey Hall of Fame inductees this year?
The Sundins and
Roberto
Luongo all got in.
They had a few coaches. Oh, no, I'm thinking about the NFL. That's right. The NFL had recently announced who they're going to be putting in the Hall of Fame, too.
Well, no, they're just they're the finalists.
Oh, okay. That's right.
I think they announce them at the Hall of Fame game, whoever gets in.
Jarrell said, hopefully Lou can find another Grabner. But Grumpy, we are here at the end of the show today. What do you want to say before we wrap things up?
I just want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens, and even those who don't, from TJ and the Grumpy Old Man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, Grumpy, for your time as always. If you're new to the show, we again invite you to stick around a while. We invite you to subscribe on YouTube, to like on Facebook, and to follow on Twitter. Again, we go live every Wednesday and Saturday on this show. We also have a general sports podcast where we talk all things sports. That could be NHL, NBA, NFL, MLB, college athletics, European football. We talk anything and everything sports on that. It's in the link description below. It's also as a feature page on our YouTube channel called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. Got a few more comments ringing in here, Grumpy, before
Trading camps open. NFL training camp open.
It is. Stephen S. said, I definitely will come back as much as I can. Also, fun fact, I met Pecorine in an auto store in 2007 before he went full pro in 2008. Great down-to-earth type of guy. Got a ton of signatures from him. Oh, that's always great, too.
Hockey players they're the best when it comes to getting autographs. The best.
They're very down-to-earth people because it's not like they are.
They're not Americans, first of all, most of them.
That too is true. And it's not like they're noticed everywhere they go. And in Nashville, it's not like even in that area where you are, Stephen,
Milwaukee,
I was about to say the Milwaukee Admirals, it's not like, they're all that noticed easily, they kind of blend in. It's not like they're an NFL guy or anything like that. Frank says, yeah, that's right. Hit the thumbs up. How could I forget? Apparently that helps the algorithm always to hit the thumbs up. State of Survival says, good night, guys. Danny T says, good night, go Jets. And Matthew S said, great show as always. Danny T says, go Leafs. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you again, the Grumpy Old Man. We'll see you guys tomorrow on TJ and the Grumpy Old Man, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You can find it in the link in the description below, or you could find it here as a featured page on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much everybody for tuning in, and thank you again, Grumpy Old Man.
My pleasure.